front row seat. How you doing, sir? Alive and well, hanging in. And then we got that, the stuff like that. I'm trying to explain.
I'd like to welcome everyone to Kent County Levy Court's business meeting here at Kent County Administrative Complex, 555 Bay Road, Dover, Delaware, Levy Court Chamber for Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. Appreciate everyone coming out. Mr. Administrator.
Thank you, Vice President Scott. This meeting is being held in person at 555 Bay Road, Dover, Delaware, in the Levy Court Chambers. We also are making it available via the internet through WebEx. Participants can join us by phone or by computer during the meeting. There will be opportunities for public comments for those attending in person or online. When the Vice President opens a public comment period, those attending in person may step forward to one of the two podiums and be recognized. If you're joining us by phone and wish to comment, please press *3, which will raise your electronic hand. Our operator will identify you and bring you into the meeting. Pressing *6 will mute and unmute your line. If you're online, you will see a hand and microphone icon at the bottom of your screen. Please use these at appropriate times. We ask that guests to begin public comments by stating your name and address for the record. The county attorney will administer an oath of affirmation to anyone giving testimony during a public hearing. We ask that public comments relate to the subjects announced by the Vice President. In addition to public hearings, there are two public comment periods, one at the beginning of the meeting for agenda items and one near the end of the meeting for general comments. This meeting is being recorded and will follow the rules and procedures adopted by the Levy Court, as well as the Mason Rules of Order. Back to you, Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator. This time we'll call the meeting, 7 o'clock business meeting to order. Invocation, Commissioner Pepper.
All rise, please. Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to come together this evening to make important decisions for Kent County. Please make them pleasing to not only our constituents, but to you, and make everything we do in your name. Amen.
Commissioner Hertz. Commissioner Sweeney.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for our military, law enforcement, firefighters, paramedics, and other first responders who have given their lives in the line of duty. Please remember these individual first responders who died in the line of duty, as well as keeping their families and in your thoughts and prayers as they deal with the loss of their loved ones. I ask your indulgence. We have not had a business meeting, and everybody on my list deserves recognition for their commitment to our freedoms. Lieutenant Albert Stout, Jr. from the Robstown Police Department, Texas. Police Officer David Rose from the DeKalb County Police Department in Georgia. Sergeant Kenneth Salas from the Spokane County Sheriff's Office in Washington. Sergeant Caleb Iceworth from the Baton Rouge Police Department, Louisiana. Sergeant Ryan Hudson from the Paducah Police Department in Kentucky. Trooper First Class Dennis Ricks from the South Carolina Highway Patrol in South Carolina. Police Officer Suzanne O. from the Maui County Police Department, Hawaii. Sergeant Lee Sorensen from the Tremonton Garland Police Department in Utah. Police Officer Eric Estrada from the Tremonton Garland Police Department in Utah. Police Officer Hunter Simonchik from the Kansas City Police Department in Kansas. Deputy Sheriff Andres Lajera from the Citrus County Sheriff's Office in Florida. Trooper Jeffrey Wayne Adamick Jr. from the Texas Department of Public Safety. Detective Mark Baker from the Northern York County Regional Police Department. Detective Isaiah Emmenheiser from the Northern York County Regional Police Department. And Detective Sergeant Cody Becker from the Northern York County Regional Police Department in Pennsylvania. Senior Police Officer Alex Roberts from the Houston Police Department in Texas. K-9 Karma from the Asante County Sheriff's Office, Minnesota. K-9 Archer from the Hawaii County Police Department in Hawaii. K-9 Diesel from the Chattanooga Police Department in Tennessee. Fire Police Captain Ed Margovich from the 3rd District Volunteer Fire Company in Bristol, Pennsylvania. Captain Christopher Brown from Northwood Fire Rescue, Northwood, New Hampshire. Firefighter Sawyer Ruben Romero from the United States Forest Service, Portland, Oregon. Lieutenant Brian Hatt from the Raywick Fire Department, Raywick, Kentucky. Firefighter Douglas Thompson from the Warren Township Volunteer Fire Department in Marietta, Ohio. Lucas Gelhausen from the Celestine Volunteer Fire Department, Celestine, Indiana. Firefighter Equipment Operator Hank Hester from the Southwest Area Incident Management Team 3, Grand Canyon, Arizona. Master Firefighter Preston Fant, DeKalb County Fire Rescue, Tucker, Georgia. Firefighter Paramedic Stephen Scott, Houston Fire Department, Houston, Texas. All these firefighters and law enforcement lost their lives in the line of duty. We also lost in Delaware just this past week from the Hockessin Volunteer Fire Company, past Chief Dave Roser. Please keep these firefighters, law enforcement, and our military in your thoughts and prayers, and their families as well. Thank you.
Ms. Tanaka?
Mr. Angel,
Present.
Mr. Hall,
Here.
Mr. Hertz,
Here.
Mrs. Maston, absent. Mr. Pepper,
Here.
Mr. Sweeney,
Here.
Mr. Scott,
Here.
Vice President Scott, roll call reveals 6 present, 1 absent.
Thank you, Ms. Tanaka. This time, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. As a point of order, we're going to take our agenda items in the order that they appear on the agenda. This means that if you're here for public comment on an agenda item, we will hear that first. If you're here for a public comment on a public hearing item, we will hear that during the public hearings. All other public comments on a matter not on the agenda will be reserved for the end of the meeting according to the agenda. This time, have adoption for agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any question on the motion? Ms. Tanaka?
Mr. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston, absent. Mr. Pepper,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Vice President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you, Ms. Tanaka. This time, we'll call for public comments on agenda items. Mark, anyone online?
If there's any of our guests joining us online that would like to make public comments on agenda items, please indicate by raising your electronic hand or pressing *3 if you're joining us by telephone. I see no hands raised at this time, Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we'll go into consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda 25-13.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any question on the motion? Ms. Tanaka?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston, absent. Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Vice President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you, Ms. Tanaka. This time we'll go into presentations. Employee of the Month, Chief Tinger.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'd like to introduce Assistant Director Robert Watts, who will read the memo into record.
Good evening. Kent County Department heads have selected Dylan Carrar from the Department of Public Safety as a September 2025 Employee of the Month. Dylan currently serves as one of the administrative operations officers in the Emergency Communications Division, having joined the county in December 2000. He began his career as Dispatcher 1 and steadily advanced through the ranks, earning promotion to a Dispatcher 2 in July 2003 and a Dispatcher 3 in September 2012. His dedication and strong work ethic paved the way for his transition into management, first as Dispatch Shift Supervisor in January 2021, followed by his appointment as the Emergency Communications Operations Support Officer in August 2023, and ultimately his reclassification as an Administrative Operations Officer in July 2025. In his current role, Dylan oversees the division's training program, including certifications and continuing education, manages vehicle maintenance, maintains fire EMS station information databases, leads working groups, and administers high band paging and siren alerting systems. Director of Public Safety, Chief John Tinger, shared, Dylan has managed critical systems including CAD, Smart 911, and GIS, consistently demonstrating professionalism, adaptability, and a strong work ethic. He is always willing to step up and support his coworkers, whether troubleshooting technical issues or covering during demanding shifts, and continuously places the needs of the department and community first. With nearly 25 years of dedicated service, Dylan's commitment and positive attitude make him truly deserving of this recognition. Congratulations, Dylan, on a job well done. And Dylan resides in Commissioner Maston's and Pepper's districts.
This time, if we could ask commissioners to join us out front.
And while you're heading out to the front, I'll read the tribute for the Employee of the Month, September 2025. Kent County Levy Court, September 2025 Employee of the Month, Dylan Carrar. On this, the 23rd day of September 2025, the Levy Court of Kent County, State of Delaware, does hereby recognize Dylan M.R. Carrar, Administrative Operations Officer, Emergency Communications Department of Public Safety, Emergency Communications Division, for his exceptional initiative, dedication, and conscientiousness in the delivery of services to the citizenry of the county.
Thank you, Ms. Tanaka. Well, Dylan, it's actually an honor to stand here with you on this. We spent a lot of shifts together, solved a lot of world problems, and saved a lot of lives, got in a lot of trouble. But at the end of the day, it was fun, and then you had to go get promoted. So, but congratulations, and you've done a world of good over there. So thank you for all that you do.
Yes, Dylan, thank you very much. You make us look good. All our employees make us look good. Thank you for what you do. I almost didn't recognize you with your beard being cut.
Dylan, congratulations. You know, a program like we have in the paramedics and at the 911 centers, only successful through its training program, and you're being in charge of the training program. Gives us an excellent program, and we appreciate everything you do.
Dylan Carrar with 3 R's. I got it right. Okay. Dylan, you know, I speak on behalf of Assistant Director Watts here and the entire department when I say that your dedication and your ability to take on the challenge that we present to you on an everyday basis is amazing. You set the standard. You keep our 911 center going every day, and we thank you for that. And this award is definitely recognized and deserved.
Dylan, congratulations. Folks in the audience, when you call in and you've got a problem and an emergency, this is one of the voices on the other end of the line. This is the guy, one of the guys and gals that try to calm you and get information from you, and at the same time be dispatching the appropriate people to come to you to help you. So put a face to that 911 call. When you pick that phone up, dial 911, this is one of the faces on the other side. And Bob Scott's one of the other faces on there too. But Bob's got a better radio face than he does TV face. But so that's a very difficult job. You never know who you're going to be talking to, what you're going to be talking about, what the issue is, what has just happened in your life. He's got to sort everything out and figure out what's the best way to handle your problem in a matter of seconds. So this is the face. Look at it. And, you know, they're normal people just like the rest of us, but they've got a lot on the ball. And we appreciate them and everything they do for the county. And like was said, they make us all look good. Thank you.
Yeah, Dylan, congratulations on a job well done. When I watched you walk up here, you look like you had a good, strong back, because I know Commissioner Scott there is pretty heavy to carry over there, but congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, you do a lot of important things, and you do it well. Thanks very much for everything you do for our county.
Dylan, on behalf of all the employees here at the county, congratulations. Definitely well-deserved. I've had the opportunity I saw nearly 25 years, 23 years. I worked hand in hand with you, and I'm really proud that you're standing up here today being recognized as Employee of the Month. Thank you. Joel, Trudy, could I get one of you to take a picture, please? Our PIO is sick tonight. So, or Mark, thank you.
This time, if we can have Natasha Now and Kevin Roshi come forward. They completed the fire study for the state of Delaware over the last couple of years here.
We have some introductions.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Vice President, members of the council. Thank you so much for having us here tonight. It's been an honor meeting the men and women in Kent County that provide fire and emergency medical services for you all. We had great cooperation from the departments, from their administrative staff, and from their command officers in many cases. We want to just start out by saying thank you for that. The volunteer fire service in Kent County and the state of Delaware has provided outstanding service for decades to the county with a great association, great work ethic, great community sense, but the world has changed around them. The volunteer fire service in the United States is suffering. People don't tend to join organizations anymore. The volunteer fire companies that were the center of the community years ago are no longer, there's so many other things to do, and then there's the internet. So volunteer fire company membership is suffering across the United States, including in Kent County. We've done, as Administrator Sippel said, we've done this study in all 3 counties in the state. We think that Kent County is probably in the best position. The volunteer departments in your county are probably healthier than in the other 2 counties in the state. The northern part of the state, is much more densely populated. The southern part of the state is undergoing a lot of development and change, and that development and change will come to you all. So the purpose of our study was to look at the financial health of all the companies, and that's a proxy for membership also. Not as many companies in Kent, but in the other counties, Departments are resorting to having paid staff at least to run the ambulance service in some cases. And the world's just changing around them. So we were able to, as I said again, to visit every department in the state, except for Wilmington, that wasn't part of the study. And again, everyone was very kind to us. We think that the volunteer fire service has been the best bargain that local and county government's gotten for the last 200 years across the United States, but it's a system that's in need of some change and in need of additional support from you all. So Natasha's going to walk you through basically the parts of the study that we did, the details, and then I'll have some information at the end on recommendations, and then if it suits the Vice President, we'll take questions. Actually, we'll take questions at any time. So we did a detailed analysis of each company's revenues. The companies were very generous in general in providing us with the details of where their money comes from. As you all know, most of the operating funds for volunteer companies in this county and in the other 2 counties come from the state and from the county government. Yes, sir.
Thanks. Just a real quick question. I want you to reiterate. You said Kent County is healthier than the other 2 counties?
In general, and I don't think Natasha would disagree with me. I think that the fire service, if she does, she can come up and say it if she wants to. But I think overall, the fire service in the county is in better shape than it is in the other 2 counties.
And your presentation is getting ready to lay out those reasons why.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so we wanted to look at revenues and expenditures. That's the chief thing that we looked at when we looked at policies. Now, you could say that policies aren't necessarily necessary in every case, but the budget process and the use of policies in the department provides some discipline to their expenditures and their operations, just like it does for you all. We want to identify the key cost drivers and revenue drivers for the companies. Just as an example, the cost of fire apparatus has jumped enormously over especially the last 10 years, and ambulances as well. And then we want to consider options, and that's where we'll talk about recommendations later to make the system more sustainable. So I'm going to turn it over. Actually, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. My name's Kevin Roach. We have a little company called Facets. We've done work for fire departments literally from Anchorage, Alaska to South Florida and from Portland, Maine down to Southern California. No 2 fire departments are the same, and that includes in your county. They're all unique organizations. I often say that the one thing you can say absolutely about all fire departments is that there's nothing you can say absolutely about all fire departments. So we treat each fire department as an individual. We've been in business since 2006. I myself started as a volunteer firefighter in upstate New York in the early 80s. And then again, the world has changed. When I was a young man, if the fire call came out and it sounded like it might be a real fire, if the dispatcher's voice was up a little bit, or if you could hear phones ringing in the background, we could get 50, at the time it was all men to our firehouse, and that world has just changed across the country, not just in Delaware. I'd like to introduce Natasha now.
Thank you. Hi, good evening. Thank you for having us. My name is Natasha Now. I've been in the fire service, I guess, since diapers, so over 30 years. My dad just retired after 57 years. I'm in a combination department in Connecticut. So with that said, and I'm also a Delaware graduate. I went to UDel, full disclosure. So our methods, Kevin alluded to, we started with interviews. Interviews was just one part of the process. After the interviews and speaking with each individual company and taking notes and understanding how they worked and the services they provided and some of the fundraising activities that they performed, we went home and we took all the documents they provided and we really dug into all those financial statements. Not only financial statements, but profit and loss statements. I'll go into a little bit more detail with that. In a bit. So we did not start from scratch with this study. We did use an existing model, and that's through the state of Pennsylvania. The state of Pennsylvania Department for Economic and Community Development has a financial monitoring workbook that's been in existence since 2016. They've done one update to that financial monitoring workbook. The state of Pennsylvania is one of 21 states in the country that has an early warning system, as they call it, and they use a series of 26 factors. This slide is a little bit hard to see, so I apologize, but 26 factors, a lot of those have to do with property taxes. So that obviously doesn't have anything to do with fire departments in the general sense, right? So Facets went through and we said, okay, well, we can generally use about half of these with modifications to a couple of them. Revenue per capita is useful in fire departments, but not as useful as call volume. You know, the actual thing that fire departments provide as service. They go on calls. So we took these 26 factors and we said, okay, we're going to use 12 of those and we're going to add one additional factor, and that is solvency. So as you can see up there, some of the ones that might jump out at you are fund balance, capital outlay, cash position, debt service. All of these have to do with local fire departments. We'll talk about these in a little bit more detail later on in the presentation. As I indicated, there was a lot of documents that we had to go through. Some of this was commentary. It wasn't necessarily included in the calculation of the grade that we'll talk about later, but it is very important to do this part of the discovery and find out, what is involved in a fire company's debt schedule. What do they have existing debt? Do they have a mortgage on their station? Do they have three loans on their fire apparatus? So these debt schedules, along with any kind of list of grants that the departments may have applied for, really gave us a sense of, how they operated, not only just numbers on the page with financial statements, and kind of gave us a full picture of the operation. In the interviews, we talked about a bunch of things, but one of them that's really hard to hit on is volunteer hours. So about 15 companies track volunteer hours right now. And we, as a part of our discovery, we grabbed all those volunteer logs. So they might track those manually in Excel, or they might have a software that they use to track volunteer hours, but it's really hard to quantify the benefit that you get from volunteers. And the easiest way to do that is to say, okay, well, how much time are they giving us? Because, a volunteer is sitting around maybe on a duty crew, or they come for the day and they give 8 hours of their time. That 8 hours of time is very valuable. They could have otherwise been doing something else with their life. So we went through a bunch of that stuff along with the call volume statistics that we got directly from the county, from the call center, and then any kind of in-kind services, maybe if they got free trash collection, free cable, something like that. We wanted to notate that. So that was part of our discussion, that those things might not appear on paper, and it was really important to discuss those in person. So that was a part of our notes from our meetings that made it into the final report. Okay, so again, kind of a small chart, better to read it in the actual publication, but the takeaway here is, on average, over the 5 years, forgive me, this thing is not cooperating here, timed out. There was about 211, there was an average of about 30,000 calls each year. Now, you can see for the call volume across the myriad of the 19 companies, it's a very, very large range. So one company has 114 calls per year, and it goes all the way up to over 4,800 calls per year. So the volume, differs from each company, as you can imagine. Of the 19 companies, 6 do not provide EMS, as I'm sure you're aware. One company is EMS only, and 5 of these 19 companies are completely volunteer. So that's just something to keep in mind as you look at this data and the slides. Population. So for the study, we used the 2020 census population, and across the 19 companies, that equates to about 211,000 people. Staffing. So staffing is different from company to company. As I said, there are 5 companies that have 0 full-time staffing, 0 part-time staffing. They have solely all volunteers. But across the county, we have about 310 employees, and the majority of those, about 23%, the minority of those is full-time. So largely what's staffing Kent County is part-time employees. And a lot of these part-timers do actually travel from company to company. So some stay loyal, some stay within their company, but others might catch a shift at a different company. So there's an instance where some of these part-timers might be quote-unquote double counted, but they're working across the county, and some are actually working in other counties as well. Across all of the companies, we looked at salaries and benefits to try to get a sense of what kind of burden that was putting on each company. As we know, personnel is very expensive, and if you renegotiate a union contract or you renegotiate employment contracts and you need to stay very strong in your recruitment and your retention. If you're having any challenges with that, you might have to offer more benefits. So we're evaluating that, and across the entire county, and this is a little bit light, keep in mind that the way that people represent their finances changes from company to company. So it's about 6.5 million as of 2023, and that's salaries and benefits together. Now, the two companies that I'm mentioning that do not have their entire kind of nugget represented there is Harrington and Dover. Those two companies have some of their salaries represented in the municipal budget. So just keep that in mind. This is only what is in the fire company's financial statements, okay? What was unique to Kent County, which was different than the other counties, was that there is a very low union presence here. We saw far more unions in the other counties. And the only union that we discussed with the companies was in Dover. And it's not the entire staff, it's just a portion thereof.
Natasha, I have a question. Sure. Looking at this, I've reviewed all this, and what would you say is the biggest burden? Would it be the cost of employees and the wages and everything, or the cost of equipment and running the firehouse? Which is the biggest
apparatus burden? And equipment over personnel right now. Yeah, the Kent County has a surprisingly low percentage of benefits. You'll see when we go through some of the report card, the financial calculations, you'll see that the average employee benefits percentage is only about 12 or 13%. If you're familiar with, I'm sure Kent County's, wage to benefit ratio or nationwide ratios that you've heard of can be anywhere from 30 to 50% in some cases, depending upon whether they're uniformed or civilian. So it's a very low percentage. And that's really good because that means that the companies have been able to use that money elsewhere, right? But maybe they could consider, we wrote in the report, maybe they could consider if they can do it without overextending themselves, they could maybe raise their benefit levels if that's something that they're hearing that, okay, why aren't we getting more employees? Why aren't we getting more interest? There's a little bit of wiggle room there because benefit levels are not comparatively high, compared to the rest of the country. So, but apparatus is insane right now. And we don't have an option. I mean, other than considering downsizing fleet, sharing, doing regional sharing, which typically I found in Connecticut is a very challenging thing because you need the thing at the same time. So regional sharing doesn't necessarily work either, but I digress. So
Thank you.
No problem. Just shifting from employees to volunteers. So while employees are very important, to have that reliable person there every day, no matter what schedule for their shift, we're not, entirely sure whether volunteers are going to come or go, although Kent County has a very strong volunteer presence. We wanted to quantify somehow those volunteer hours. And across a little bit over 2,000 volunteers that are across Kent County. Now, these are estimates, don't bank on this number to the cent here, but about 22% of the total volunteers, total roles, that could include veteran members, life members, and those folks are more social members. They come because, they've been there for 50 years and they've spent their life there, and they really only come for the meetings or for the social events, which isn't a bad thing. They've paid their dues. They're there for a reason. But we wanted to try to get a sense of, how many of the total volunteers were actually actively responding on a rig, because while the administrative folks who help with all the fundraising and setting up events are extremely important, that back-end office of a fire company is almost just as important as the active responders. We want to make sure that we're capturing, okay, well, how many people are actually going out on the rigs to say, like, okay, well, if we didn't have this staffing here, how much volunteerism is there supplementing it, right? So about 158,000 hours was given in 2023. And that's a little bit shy because that was 15 companies responding with information. Some of them only started tracking volunteer hours starting in 2024 or 2025. So they're doing it now, but they might have just not had that information at the time that we met with them. So on average, that's about 9,500 hours per company. And that's, a big range between all the companies. But what we wanted to kind of get a sense of is, okay, if we use an hourly wage, an average hourly wage, we were seeing about $21 an hour was pretty typical. That equates to about $3.3 million of labor that would have been paid had these folks been employees and not volunteers. So that just gives you a little bit of a sense. There's probably a lot more that goes into that, and you could do a much more refined calculation, but we just wanted to get a kind of a general sense of how much these volunteers were giving the county. Policies, again, this is very small, but what Kevin was hitting on earlier was we found that there could be some improvement here. Not a bad thing. Policies are very challenging. I've written a bunch in my job. I'm a finance manager for a small town, and policies are also even more challenging once they're written to be followed, right? So you put a policy book on the shelf and you never use it, that's also not very helpful, right? You want to make sure that you implement them and follow them. So of the 11 policies that were stated in the RFP for this study, only about 3 companies were meeting the majority, which was about 7 out of 11 policies. So these are very low-hanging fruit things. These companies, we talked to them about it. You know, a lot of them were like, okay, well, we don't have a policy on travel reimbursement because we don't really travel. We really don't go to like seminars or trainings. And I was like, okay, fair enough, I hear you, but we would like to see you guys have a written policy in the event that you do travel. You want to have that provision in there to cover yourself. It's kind of like a separate insurance policy, having these written things out there. So if something bad happens, you can point to it and say, here's the rule, you know, what are we going to do about it now that the rule wasn't followed? So the budget process, as a finance manager myself, I would really, really encourage, and I know we have some fire companies that just started doing budgets in 2025, and we looked over some of their budgets. They're really, you know, they're super proud about just implementing a budget process. We talk about that in the report and how important that is, because if you don't forecast, you don't, you know, stick to anything. You know, you set a budget of $50,000 and you'll blow it and be at $75,000 by the end of the year. Well, you know, so what an important document sitting on a shelf but not followed, also not important. So making sure that you're revising those budgets every year was something that we talked about with the department, saying like, okay, reassess, you know, is this too conservative? Does this need to be bumped up a little bit to reflect reality? You know, does it need to be reduced because it's too big of a cushion and you're just kind of overinflating it? You know, so trying to be a little bit tighter and making sure that you're spending your money wisely. This is just a quick visual of some of the revenue and expenditure analysis that we did. What I really want to hit on real quick, I'm not going to go through each one of these, is that, let's see, 2023 surpluses ranged from $98,000, which is very tiny, up to $1.4 million. There was 0 deficits in Kent County in 2023, which is really, really good. You don't see that everywhere. On average, across all these surpluses, it was about $440,000. And so I always use there's no national standard necessarily. You'll hear a lot of different things from accountants, but the rule of thumb could be anywhere from a quarter, you know, 3 months worth, 6 months sometimes is used, but having a little bit of a nugget, you know, a rainy day fund of at least 3 months worth of operating expenditures, just in case we run into some kind of pandemic or some kind of unforeseen, is usually the recommended practice. So that is happening here in Kent County. Just quickly hitting on the point that Kevin was making earlier. The revenue for 2023 coming into all of the Kent County fire stations was totaling about $17.7 million from state and county. That's, as you can see, by far the largest source. This next second largest source was EMS ambulance billing. So any kind of transports that those companies that provided EMS service resulted in a little over $6 million collectively. And then it drops from there. So municipal support is very low at a little over $1.6 million across the county. And then donations is rather equivalent to the other category, which is, you know, investments, interest, any kind of loans. So fundraising, while the companies are doing a fantastic job of holding all of their small events to try to bring in revenue, you know, it's still kind of a shot in the bucket compared to what they need to operate. Okay, so jumping real quick back to grants, I had mentioned those earlier. Just to give you a couple quick stats, 11 out of 19 companies applied for competitive grants over the 5-year period that we looked at. That's a really good figure. And the folks that didn't, in our conversations with them, they said they're about to work toward it, either hiring a grant writer externally or they're going to have one of their members in-house try to work on some grants. Grants take a lot of time and effort, so it is a good thing for companies to do, and it's very cumbersome. On average, we do have a couple charts in there that go over revenue versus expenditures per call, but we just elected to go over the net per call in this presentation. So on average, the companies are netting about $410 per call. Nobody was in a deficit, which again is very rare, so that's great. EMS collections, or ambulance billing collections. We had about 11 companies that had collections data that we could evaluate. With the data that we were provided, approximately there was a 53% collection rate. And if you see on the screen, it could range anywhere from 25% to 60%, but on average across the county, it was about 53%. This isn't actually a bad rate. With Medicare and Medicaid reimbursements, you know, as the council people are very aware, it's very challenging, especially with economic challenges and different cultural challenges in each city or town. So a lot of it is ability to pay, right? So with this collection rate, just to confirm, all of that was removed. So when it says contractual adjustments or obligations, that means that all of that, let's call it bad debt that you know you're never going to get, that's not included in this calculation. So it's really just the gross billings that you know you're going to collect. And that's just a graphical representation of it. But okay, so on the flip side of the revenue expenditures, real quick, we just wanted to point out a couple stats on assets and liabilities. So these are your balance sheet items. These are not your profit and loss statements. We wanted to look at not only assets and liabilities, but investments, which we'll go over shortly. So liabilities ranged anywhere from 0 to 1.9 million across the 19 companies. Now, I want to just restate that, 0 to 1.9 million. It's very rare to have an organization of any kind have 0 liabilities. Very rare. And on average, in total, 12.5 million across the entire county in liabilities. Assets were over 111 million. So you can see that on the scale there. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so investments. Investments is incorporated into that assets category. It's very interesting to see how high of a number of these companies are pursuing investments. There's no requirement, right, in the county to do this. It's just they've taken it upon themselves to say, hey, you know, it'd be smart to not have the money sitting in a CD or a savings account that's really earning low interest. Let's see what's out there and available to us in different mutual funds, you know, stocks, bonds. There's a multitude of different kinds of investments out there. We have about, 4 of the 19 companies had 0 investments, which really isn't that bad, like I said. Of the 15 who have investments, as you can see on the screen, this ranged anywhere from $176,000 to $8 million. So that's really impressive. Okay, fleet. As we talked about before, personnel is definitely a burden on the budget, but fleet is by far the largest burden. We had to use an apples-to-apples comparison. While we appreciate that each company has a unique fleet replacement plan that might not be exactly what you see on the screen here, we had to do something to be able to compare everyone. So some companies, you know, communicated to us they definitely won't be doing an ambulance every 10 years. It might be every 12 years, or it might be every 5 years because maybe they really beat their ambulance up and they have a high call volume. So we notate that in each section in the report. So if a company had a specific fleet replacement plan that they wanted us to highlight, we tried to make sure that was in there. But this is the useful life years that we're using, and they follow NFPA standards for the engines and the ladder trucks. Okay. Again, very small chart. Sorry, easier to see if you can blow it up more. But what we want to just quickly highlight is that there's about 265 responding apparatus throughout the county. In that number, I'm removing antiques because they're just parade pieces. So the highest quantities that you have in fleet are utility trucks, about 53 utility trucks across the county, and 45 engines. 45 engines is that really big, large financial nugget. ladders are more expensive, but you all don't have a lot of ladders in this county. Of that same note, we took that quantity of fleet, we went through and we got all the fleet schedules, and we did utilize any debt schedules that we were given. So if we wanted to reflect a $3 million mortgage for a building, a $20,000 loan for SCBAs, or a $1 million loan for a truck over a certain period at a certain interest rate, we tried to incorporate that into this debt schedule that you see before you. And then when that wasn't available and we knew that a truck by useful life had to be replaced 10 years from now, we used a 5% interest rate fixed over a 10-year period. And that's kind of just the worst case scenario. If anybody has done a bond recently or a loan, I just borrowed $5 million at 3.67%. We're not really at 5% right now, and the feds just dropped the rate a little bit even more, so that's probably good news for folks. But we wanted to use the worst case scenario and kind of an average note life. You could go out on a 20-year note for an engine, and this would be a little bit more aggressive. Or you could go out for a 5-year note on an ambulance rather than a 10-year note. But we had to use kind of just an apples to apples comparison. So long story short is you're looking at about $56 million of debt over the next 5 years across 19 companies.
Natasha?
Yep.
This is based on your analysis. This isn't the actual debt of the fire companies, right?
So it's a blended approach.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So whenever we were given debt schedules from the companies, we reflected those. So some have mortgages on their station, some don't. Some have a couple small equipment loans, and they had all their documentation with their rates and their term on the note. And so we tried to reflect that to the best of our ability for anything that we were given. In the absence of that, we looked at their total fleet inventory, and then we used our 5% 10-year approach. Okay?
Thank you.
So some of this could be inflated, some of it could be underrepresented. It's an estimate. Okay, moving out of data. So there's a lot of data that goes into this report, and in the end, we have the 13 factors that we talked about earlier. Those 13 factors were assigned a different weight each. So we, based on what we know about the fire service and what we have control over in this life, we said, okay, well, we have to total 100%. The factors ranged anywhere from 3 to 15%. Cash position is one of the higher weighted categories. Capital outlay is one of the higher weighted categories, or factors, sorry. And fund balance is a higher weighted factor. The things that we don't have control over, like call volume, fire companies, they have to respond, right? They don't know if any given year it's going to be higher or lower. The revenue per call and expenditures per call, therefore, are only weighted 3%. So, knowing what we know and knowing how much it affects the fire company is how we decided how to weight these factors. When a fire company had a factor that was not applicable to them, so those 5 companies that I discussed earlier that are volunteer only, they won't have an employee benefits factor, right? Because they're not paying anyone. So we had to recalculate that and recalibrate the system to be fair and treat everyone the same, because I can't give a grade of 0 to somebody when it's not applicable to them. So in any instance that happened, we reassigned the weighting. We did a green, kind of a stoplight approach. So we used green, yellow, orange, red health system. We're not connected to the There's 100 different ways you could have done this. You could have done grade systems where it was A, B, C, D. We just chose to keep it a little bit more friendly. And we used a point system and ranges for each color. I want to just point out that it's very important to note the difference between trend and average. So in the 13 factors in our financial health grading, we are using the average over the 5 years. Now, also keep in mind in that 5-year period, COVID happened, right? So we do have a little bit of an outlier in there, but I think using the 5-year period, we saw that the fire companies were pretty well recovering in 2022 after COVID. 2021 was a little interesting year, but the trend is present on the report card just so you can see the difference between 2019 to 2023, and that's what the trend represents, just the delta between those 2 years. Okay, so it's a point in time, which is a little bit difficult. I think I lost my... So I jumped ahead of myself a little bit. So what I was explaining a little bit verbally just on the slide before was on this slide. So green is, as you can imagine, it's kind of like, your grade scale in a school report card. 100 to 90, 80 to 89, 60 to 79, and 59 and below. And just like I said, when factor weights needed to be adjusted for companies that did not provide EMS response and were only volunteer, we did so. So you can see that operating position, cash position, and EMS user fees, as we know, is one of the higher revenue sources for the county. That's why it's more important and more heavily weighted. This chart, very small to read, sorry, it just gives an explanation of the definition of the formula that was used, the definition of the factor, the trend, and how we weighted it. So, the example that I'll give you, cash position is really about short-term investments. It's short-term investments over short-term liabilities or current liabilities, whereas the last factor, which we introduced as our 13th factor, is more about those long-term liabilities. So solvency is very important, and the lower the solvency percentage, the better. You want to be under 50% for solvent. So within each of these factors, there's a best practices recommendation, and you can see how it was graded. So any company that was over 50% would have received a lower grade for that factor versus being closer to 10%, 5%, and so forth. So that's just saying, of your total liabilities or of your total assets, how much of that is made up of liabilities? You don't want to have that be closer to 50% because you're going to be in trouble. That's just one example. I don't know. There we go. Okay. So the report card that I was alluding to, this is just an example. It's not even actually this county. It's just to show you the visual. So this is included in the report. And it will show you a very quick synopsis. If there was anything that was extremely unique to that fire company, you'll see it notated in an asterisk below the main chart. And you'll see, as I was saying, the trend versus the average. We had some companies, when they were reviewing their report cards, concerned and saying, oh, I have an unfavorable trend. And I'm like, well, please just keep in mind that that's just comparing 2019 to 2023. You really want to look at your average and look at that compared to best practices. Okay. So the moment we've all been waiting for. I'm almost done talking here. So we get to the end and we talk about the grades. Now, keep in mind that a bad grade doesn't mean that they're a bad fire company and that they're doing bad things. These folks are all doing their best, and it doesn't mean that the financial person, the treasurer, or the president, or anybody that we talked to wasn't doing their job. It just means that there's certain circumstances that was bringing this grade lower. I will tell you the primary reason was presence of budgets. So when we couldn't run a calculation on the expenditure overruns category, factor, or the revenue surplus category, we didn't have budget. So we weren't comparing budgets to actuals. And when we couldn't do it and we didn't have the information, but they did do the thing, it wasn't like it was an EMS transport thing, we had to give the company a grade of 0 for that factor. So that's what really brought down their grade. There's very easy things for these folks that are in red, like the budgets, that would bump this grade up into the orange category very easily. So these two companies in particular that are in red, I want to notate that their financial statements show that they're very healthy. They're doing very well. They might have actually 0 liabilities, depending upon where you stand. Best practice recommendations, which is a little bit controversial, is doing 50% finance, 50% cash. We have had some companies in our interviews, say, well, we pay cash with everything. And I'm like, okay, that's great. That's good if that's your practice and that makes you feel comfortable. But if you balance it with finances and don't deplete your cash, you'll have your cash later. And it's a balancing act with all of this stuff, right? And it depends upon where you're at that given time and what's going on in the economy too. So in the end, we ended up with an average grade of 74.31 across the county. So kind of dead center in the middle of orange. We don't have any greens, but that's a very hard level to get to. And we have about 6 yellows. So the years of sustainability on the right-hand side is looking at that money that they have cash in the bank. It's taking into consideration the financial health color, but it's also saying, okay, well, if everything else remains the same, We know that call volume is probably going to go up. You know, if more people move to the county, call volume and demand is going to go up. And we're pretty sure that inflation is going to keep going up, right? So if everything else remains the same and you get no more money, how long could you survive on the money that you have? And that's the idea behind the sustainability number of years. And these are estimated ranges. It's not like we know for a fact that they'll close their door in 5 years. That's not what we're saying here. This is an estimate, right? Okay, this is a great slide to go to in your report. It's hard to see on the screen, but if you look at the PDF report or you go to it, it's just a big summary of all of the averages. So if you take all the report cards and boil all the numbers down, it's a really quick shot, a really quick picture of Kent County and all the fire companies across all the factors. And I think I'm done. I'm sorry, that was really long. I hope I didn't go over. I'm gonna turn it over to Kevin.
Thank you. Thank you, Natasha. I think you see who's the smarter of the two at the podium here for sure. All right, so all that said, we came up with recommendations to you all and to the county's volunteer fire companies, and they're very similar to the recommendations we made in the other two counties. The first one is that the county and the companies together work on a strategic plan for where this county is going to be as far as fire and EMS services is in 10 to 15 years. We strongly recommend that the companies participate in that. I love the saying that if you're not at the table, you could be on the menu. So I think it's very smart, and I think the administrator would agree that it's very smart for the county companies to be involved. We think that it's the only way to really look forward and to grow in an organized manner. It'll allow the county as a system to decide, you know, are the fire stations in the right place where they are now? So if a company were to rebuild their station, would moving it slightly help service in the county? Looking at the balance of who provides what types of services. Do you need a ladder company in a certain part of the county? All that should be done as a system, not as individual companies. The companies do coordinate now, but they are autonomous entities that can basically, you know, almost do what they'd like to do. We think there should be some more county control on that to allow the system to work as a system. In the end, if the volunteer companies don't survive, that responsibility goes either to their neighboring companies or it could possibly come to the county. So it's in everyone's interest, we think, to keep all the companies alive and healthy. Second recommendation is on support services. There are some services that every company uses. Every company has an accountant. Every company that provides ambulance services, does ambulance billing. We're not necessarily suggesting that the county provide those services, but maybe the county could create a vehicle where there were a list of accountants that could be used, that the county would negotiate their fees and get better fees for the companies. Specifically on ambulance revenue, each company now currently that provides ambulance service negotiates their own contract with their billing provider. We think that if the county did it together or did it as a unified group, that they'd probably get a better return on their money, that they may pay less fees to the ambulance bill collection company if that goes through. Also, enabling companies to merge in a revenue neutral way. Some of the revenue sources are structured in a way that if a company's combined, they actually lose money, and the money's redistributed among the other companies in the county, so we'd like you to look at that. Grant writing, and then perhaps reserve ambulances or engines that the county might own that would be available to companies that needed them if they had a piece of equipment that was out of service for mechanical. Right now, each company has to maintain their own fleet that basically has to keep everything that they want in service. They have to have the depth within their own fleet to maintain the number of vehicles they want in service, and that results in probably too many engines, for example, across the county. We'd like the county to contemplate either the voluntary or the involuntary cessation of service. Not in this county, but in one other county in the state, one of the volunteer companies that provided ambulance service wrote to the county and said that unless things change after this date, we're not going to provide ambulance service anymore. So we think that the county should at least think about what the county would do or how the process would work. Could be part of the strategic plan if a company decided that they no longer wanted to provide ambulance service, as an example, or if a company became insolvent. Again, in this county, insolvency is further away for companies than we've seen in other counties, or excuse me, other companies and in other counties. We do recommend that you all impose the service fee that's authorized by House Bill 127. Fire service, EMS service is not free. The fund drive mechanism where people used to contribute in their own communities has been reduced, as Natasha showed you, very significantly to the companies, and they need a stable source of revenue over time. I know the three-letter word that begins with a T and ends with an X is not a good word in the state of Delaware, and we certainly appreciate that. But this is a fee that would be or could be levied at your option on basically every building in the community that uses service. Everyone uses fire and EMS services. We think everyone should pay. We recommend that those fees be distributed to the companies where they're earned. So if a certain amount of fees are earned in a certain company's area, that those fees go to the company. We also recommend that if that company does not provide emergency medical service, that half of that fee go to their ambulance provider in that area, and half the fee revenue go to the company. And I know that service fees are not popular in the state of Delaware, but the existing track that all the fire companies are in the state, and again, you guys are not in as dire a position as other companies or other counties in the state, but the long-term trend is that call volume is going to go up. That usually means that the companies will hire part-timers, then full-timers for their companies, and all that costs money. We recommend some accounting systems and procedures that are detailed in the report. We recommend that the companies, to the extent that they can, pursue grant funding. There are some very generous sources of grant funding for fire and emergency medical services out there. We recommend, and the details are in the report, some revenue enhancements, cost avoidance, and cost savings. And that's really the end of our presentation. We'd love to take questions from you all if you like. It's been a real honor to be here and to work on this study. I'm going to ask Natasha to join me up here. She's the brains of the operation.
Commissioner Sweeney.
Thank you, sir. Kevin and Natasha, thank you. It's pretty comprehensive. So my two questions are this. Number one, all of your recommendations are just recommendations. They're not a commitment by either the fire service or the counties to adopt.
That's correct, sir.
Any changes.
They're all recommendations, mostly at your option and at the fire company's options.
Right. So one of the comments that was made earlier had to do with the amount of funding that came from municipalities. Have you made these presentations, or have you been asked to make any presentations to any municipalities about this for their specific fire companies?
No, sir. There's one company in this county that gets very substantial support from their community, but across the state, local governments, city and town governments, if town's the correct word for Delaware, contribute very little to the fire and EMS service, and that's just a tradition, I think, from as long as fire companies have been around. It's actually unusual. I've never seen state funding go to volunteer fire companies in any other place that we've worked. I have seen county funding going to fire departments, but I don't think I've ever seen the state. And Delaware's, is unusual in that way. The state's involved much more in local government than it is in other states, but I've never seen state money go to volunteer companies.
I think in states that don't have county level government at all, for example, in the state of Connecticut, we do not have county level government. So the 169 towns throughout the state of Connecticut contribute heavily to the fire companies, but they're the only source. There is no county source. The state source is largely dried up as well, so that the municipalities in that state, for example, heavily support, but it's very different up there.
I should also say that I would say most volunteer fire companies in the United States have taxing authority, property tax authority in their communities. So they'll actually have a line on the tax bill that supports the volunteer fire department or whatever fire department is there, if it's combination or just volunteer.
And because that's part of the recommendations in those districts where they have the authority to tax within the district, who determines what that tax rate's going to be?
So I think the House bill gives the county the authority to impose that fee. I think the cities and the towns would have their own taxing authority.
Right,
and make
because it would just be in the unincorporated areas. But what about the states that you mentioned, like Connecticut? Connecticut has boroughs and townships, not towns and counties and unincorporated. So they have a fire company per township, and that township decides, what the tax rate is going to be.
Yeah, they essentially decide the level of funding they want to commit. The town that I work for in particular, we heavily support our volunteer company, but in the town next door, that's not the case. So it's really a matter of the politicians, I guess, that are in office at the time and how the budget is constructed and what we call our mill rate. We have a mill rate in Connecticut, and how, I guess, palatable it is to raise that mill rate that year. But we also have smaller budgets, so it's...
Why do you have smaller budgets?
For the fire companies, mine in particular, we have a combination of funding. So the fire company proceeds with their fundraising efforts, and that kind of takes care of like the sunshine fund, as you call it, like the t-shirts and the water and the beverages that are the small stuff, and that takes that kind of the burden off our back. But we're able to, when we go back to that purchasing discussion, from a procurement perspective, we take all the procurement off of the burden off them, and we do that for them. So that's a really big burden to take off of them, because a lot of folks, you know, they might be comparing costs and they might be doing their best, but they don't really know what's out there. They might not be doing state contracts, consortium contracts to try to, like, you know, get all their costs as low as possible. So I think having that administrative support is one of the clutch things that we have in the way that we're structured up there in Connecticut. So
have you guys been involved with a jurisdiction that did implement a fire service tax or fee, and what did that new fee on the community do to things like fundraising and donations to the fire companies?
So I think the Commissioner points out a very good point, and we heard this from companies across the state. They're concerned that if a fee is imposed, that it will have a negative impact on fundraising. People, I think, would feel generally that if they're paying the line on their tax bill, then they would be less likely to contribute money. But truthfully, the amount of money that's raised in any of the 3 counties in Delaware on fundraising is quite small compared to the other revenue sources.
I mean, it would be a matter of trying to find about $2 million of fundraising across the entire county. So I think the fee is more of a set way to do it, you know, a structured way to do it, whereas fundraising, fill the boot, you know, they had all of the dinners that they serve, like, you know, that's dependent upon how many people attend and volume, and it's just so unpredictable, you know, you can't predict it.
Commissioner, we also heard from companies in your county that and across the state, that if they were receiving money from their municipality or from their local government, it was not usually, one exception in your county, but it was not usually something that they could count on year to year.
Yeah.
That it was up and down just depending on
it fluctuated. We talked to some companies that only got $5,000 per year, some got 10, and there was, you know, a large amount of $30,000 per year, which is,
right,
you know, a shot in the dark. Harrington and Dover are the only 2 companies that have significant municipal contribution.
All right, so you said it would result in about $2 million a year that we would have to cover?
In fundraising, yes.
In fundraising, but that doesn't cover the $55 million, which is $11 million a year in debt service that they have to face.
No,
Now you're up to $13 million. Mm-hmm. And if we go to a, you know, less voluntary, now you're, okay, it's...
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that companies are trying to do to alleviate that debt burden. You know, they spoke with us at length, you know, saying, well, Natasha, we're not going to replace that truck in 5 years. We're going to make it last another 5 years after that, and we're going to put, you know, a little bit of investment into it, try to extend the useful life. But there are companies that are very worried about not abiding by NFPA standards too. So the 20-year rule on engines and ladders is in black and white. You know, I don't know if there's, I'm not going to say anything on NFPA standards if there's folks coming out to check that, but the idea is you don't want unsafe rigs on the road, you know, with the chance of something failing. A pump failing in the middle of a structure fire is kind of a big problem, which could happen on a newer rig. But
Commissioner, we also heard from companies that they're actually looking at their own fleets. You know, if you know, in 30, 40 years ago, they might be able to turn out 6 engines to a house fire. They know that that's just not the reality anymore. So do they really need to have that fleet depth? So we did see companies that were taking proactive actions to consolidate or reduce their fleets in response to their actual service delivery capabilities.
Yep. There's a handful of companies we note in the report where they're trying to do that and consolidate.
Right, so in order to cover that, I'm just, you know, running numbers in my head. 1 penny in tax rate increase in Kent County is around $400,000. So if we're going to raise things by $13 million to cover the possibility of losing fundraising and also covering debt service, I mean, we're looking at 28 cents in tax rate increase.
So I'm not the expert on the bill, sir, but I think the bill is actually, it's not millage related, it's not property value related. It could be a flat fee, it could be a graduated
right,
fee,
yeah.
Depending on what you all choose. If you choose to proceed with it, you could basically write your own rules on how that's distributed.
Right, so the point I was getting to was that I really think because we treat school districts in a way that it allows the people who live in the school districts to decide whether or not they want to pay the higher tax burden for that school. We could do the same thing for fire companies, but I don't think that's even being considered, so.
Sir, the only counter I would say to that, sir, is that people are used to getting their fire service for free. They've seen school tax bills for as long as they've been homeowners or building owners, so
Right.
it's going to be a paradigm change.
Oh, yeah. All right.
If
Thank
you
Thank
all
Mr.
choose to
Vice
proceed.
President.
Mr. Roach, I do have one question. The $55 million, it's not actually for a year. That's an aggregated cost over a period, correct?
Over the next 5 years, from 2025, counting the year we're in, through 2030. Yep.
Right, because I mean, I've seen some people coming out of their chairs when we talked about the $55 million, so it's not a cost that would have to be accumulated and covered within a one-year span. The other thing that we're pretty fortunate in Kent County is we have what we call a Fire Advisory Board, and they're supposed to be the intermediation between legislation and the fire service as a whole, and they have been meeting regularly. I've met a couple times with them as well, and they're very realistic with moving forward, and I'll be upfront. There hasn't even been any dollar amount put on anything because one of the first things that Fire Advisory Board said was we need to figure out what it is we need, how we're going to reallocate, and how we're going to restructure to conduct business to justify this funds. And I think one of our president of the Fire Advisory Board's in the audience tonight, and Eddie, if I correct me on anything if that's not about accurate. Thank you, sir.
Eddie, that's not being picked up. Can you come to just repeat that in the microphone, because I think it's important for people to hear that.
Sorry, Eddie, sorry to call you out like that, but
Ed Wells, Chairman of the Fire Advisory Board. And what Mr. Scott is saying is absolutely correct. And first off, what we've been preaching is anything that we do, first off, must be justifiable by all fire departments, and it must be fair to the fire department and fair to the constituents. And that's what needs to be presented to you folks to consider, to bless, or pick it apart. And you need to decide whether they've made it justifiable or not.
thank you, Mr. Welch.
You're welcome. And
Anybody
we're
else
ready
have a
to get
question?
started on it once we get these reports, and so we can analyze them.
There you go. Mr. Pepper, Commissioner Pepper.
You said that overall the fire companies in Kent County are in better shape than our neighboring counties. Do the recommendations for Kent County, do they mirror the other two counties?
Yes, sir, they do. I think the horizon of risk is probably further out for you all than it is for the other counties. Specifically, Newcastle County is if you see a Newcastle County ambulance or any of the companies in Newcastle County, that ambulance is probably staffed by either part-time or full-time members. There are still some volunteer, but I think one of the drivers of what's setting back the volunteer fire service is the call load. As the community develops, as the demand for the companies that provide emergency medical services, as those call loads go up, it makes the level of activity past what a volunteer can contemplate. Then if the company hires part-timers to run the EMS calls, eventually those part-timers are sent on fires, and then the bottom just drops out of in many places has dropped out of volunteering. The thing about emergency medical calls is it's probably, depending on what the nature of the call is and where you're transporting the patient to, it might be a 2-hour or more commitment on the part of that member if they're involved in the transport. Not so much here, but in other counties. They're much longer term calls than fire calls are.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Administrator Sipple.
Again, I want to commend Facet LLC for doing this report for us. I've spent a lot of time with these two individuals, and they've done a really nice job presenting this tonight. For anybody in the public, if you're interested in seeing the 425-page detailed report, it is online on our county web page, along with the presentation tonight. Also, earlier today, all the fire chiefs and presidents of all the individual fire departments were sent the link to be able to see that report also.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator. Does anyone else have any other questions? Commissioner Angel?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. We just went through redistricting. So we have about 32,000 people per district. We have 6 districts and 1 at large. So that comes out to about 192,000 based on, you're saying 211,000 people due to the 2020 census. But in saying that, we've had about 9,000 people come in 5 years. And the reason I bring that up for everybody's edification was when I became a commissioner 20 years ago, we had a big boom, which I put a moratorium on to get things under control. And in doing so, I found out that we had more people move from 2000 to 2005 than we had from 1970 to 2000. So as people move here, because of our wonderful things we offer and our low taxes, and we're close to the cities.
You have a nice place to live. People want to come.
Yes. So, I mean, I'm transplanted too. But, people want to bring what they brought with them, where they had what they went to, and that costs money. So it became a kind of a burden for everybody that's been here. So not that the fire company is a burden, it's a necessity today. And with Delaware now hitting 1 million people in our state, I would never thought we'd do that as quick as we have, but we have. And what I'm trying to get to, even with all that happening, we can't get volunteers to help the fire companies. We can't get people, even if we try and give them benefits and offer some pay, we still can't get people in. So the mindset has to change somehow. I'm just bringing it up because we have a nice crowd here tonight, that you all have a lot more to do than just this fire service with money. In order to survive, you got to have people there to go to a fire if you're going to have it. That's what I wanted to say. And thank you for your service.
Vice President, I'd just like to say one last thing. We talked a lot about the volunteer fire service tonight. The career fire service, the paid fire service, is undergoing a lot of change also, where they're having more difficulty in recruiting for jobs than they had in the past. So it's not just confined to the volunteer fire service.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Mark, is there anyone online that might have any questions?
For those guests who are joining us online, if you have any questions at this time, please indicate by raising your electronic hand or pressing *3 if you're joining us by phone. I see no hands raised online at this time, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mark. Kevin, Natasha, I thank both of you very, very much for the outstanding presentation this evening, and stick around for the rest of the meeting if you'd like. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
At this time, we'll go into introductions. Ms. Trudy?
Good evening, Commissioners. For the months of June, July, and August, we hired 7 new team members to the Kent County Levy Court team. Unfortunately, most of them were unable to make it tonight due to prior commitments and shift work. But we do have 1 new hire from the Department of Finance that I will be introducing on behalf of Ms. Durham. She was unable to make it. Would you please join me up front? Beside me is Ms. Roseanne Richards-Collazo. She started her position as a tax clerk too on August 4th, 2025. Most recently, she worked as with the Dover Federal Credit Union as a member experience officer, and prior to that, she was a banker at Citizens Bank. Ms. Roseanne resides in Commissioner Maston's and Pepper's districts, and on behalf of the Human Resources Office and the Department of Administration, I'd like to welcome you aboard and welcome you to the team. Thank you for your willingness to serve the constituents of Kent County, and we look forward to you having a long and happy life here with us. At this time, do you have anything you'd like to say?
I just want to be extremely thankful for the opportunity and for the new, experience and work field, so all the knowledge I'm getting and things like that. Thank you.
I'd like to add that Ms. Richards-Collazo started with us during our most busiest time of the year, which is tax season. And she keeps coming back every day, so we're thankful for that. But we welcome you aboard.
I'd like to welcome you aboard, and at this time, turn it over to Commissioner Pepper.
Roseanne, welcome aboard. Glad to have you. Wish you a long career here. And I was looking at you and I said, I know that lady. I know that lady. Then I read your bio here, and I bank at both of those institutions, so I've seen you before. So welcome aboard.
Thank you. Is that all, Ms. Trudy?
Yes, that's it.
Ms. Hillary?
I apologize, Hillary.
It's okay.
My apologies, Dr. Hillary.
All good things are worth waiting for. And I'd like to introduce you to Christina Crockett. Christina is related to the original Davy Crockett, believe it or not, and was promoted from part-time clerk to full-time library technician 1 this year. She's reliable, responsible, motivated, and enthusiastic. She's a team player and supportive and empathetic to her teammates. Patrons describe her as patient, knowledgeable, pleasant, and overall a pleasure to work with and an asset to our staff. We expect great things from her in her new post with her expanded responsibilities. She resides in Commissioner Hertz and Commissioner Pepper's districts. Christina, do you have a few words?
Yes, I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity to continue serving not only Levy Court, but also the library. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'd like to welcome you aboard as well. And this time I'll turn it to Commissioner Hertz and Commissioner Pepper.
Yeah, welcome aboard. And coming from my district, we have a long history since I've been a commissioner of producing Employees of the Month. So look forward to seeing you up here soon as Employee of the Month.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Trudy, do you know if there's anyone else we're missing? I have Chief Tinger from Public Safety, not here. Public Works? Kent County Recorder of Deeds? Okay, Parks and Rec? Thank you. This time we'll go into public hearings. Commissioner Sweeney?
Thank you, sir. I am not sure who is presenting the fee schedule update. I do not see the row officer for Wills. And the county administrator has stepped away. This is something we discussed in workshop, and it brings us in line with the other 2 counties to offer services at a fee that will help the Register of Wills to maintain their systems. It also gives the Register of Wills the authority to exempt a fee for one of the items, which I always thought it was Kent County Levy Court. So if you'd like to open up the public hearing, and then if anybody opposes, and
At this time, we'll open up public hearings, so anybody in favor of that has anything they'd like to say can come forward. This is a public hearing on a Register of Wills fee schedule. Not you. Anybody opposing the Register of Wills fee schedule update? Mark, anybody online?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor or in opposition to Ordinance LC 2518, please indicate by raising an electronic hand or pressing *3 if you're joining us by phone. I see no hands raised online at this time, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mark. This time we'll close the public hearing. Commissioner Sweeney?
thanks, sir. Move to approve ordinance LC 25-18, Register of Wills fee schedule update, and an ordinance to add new fees to Kent County Code, Chapter 128 fees, Part 2 fee schedule, Article 11 fees enumerated, subsection 128-46, Register of Wills, based on the Register of Wills office advice, and no public opposition.
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any question on the motion? Ms. Tanaka?
Mr. Angel?
Yes, reason stated by Commissioner Sweeney.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston, absent. Mr. Pepper?
Yes, reason stated by the Register of Wills.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, per my motion.
Mr. Scott?
Yes, based on recommendation of the Wills Department.
Mr. Vice President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you. This time, we're going to go into ordinances to amend comprehensive plan, map, and zoning maps. Commissioner Sweeney.
Thanks, sir. Ms. Kiefer?
Good evening, Commissioners. First, just a word about how these hearings will be conducted tonight. This public hearing is being conducted for the purpose of giving the citizens of the county the opportunity to present testimony on the applications before the levy court. Everyone will have a chance to speak. All statements are made from the podium at the front of the room. For the record, please give your name and address. Copies of any written statements or exhibits used during the hearing should be presented for identification and inclusion in the record. For each application before the levy court, the president will introduce the application. Then the levy court will receive testimony from all of those in favor. Testimony will then be received from those who may be opposed. After everyone has had an opportunity to speak, the hearing on the application will be closed and the levy court will take what action it deems appropriate. Levy court's decision will be based upon public hearing testimony given at this meeting and a recommendation submitted to the levy court by the Regional Planning Commission. I would ask that that recommendation be included by reference in the permanent record of the meeting established by the Clerk of the Peace. The public notice of this hearing was published in the September 3rd, 2025 edition of the Delaware State News. The first item before levy court this evening, Ordinance LC 2515, is an application for both a zoning map amendment and a comprehensive plan map amendment. The parcel in question currently zoned AR, agricultural residential, and the proposal is to change the zoning to BG, general business. The site is just over 6 acres on the north side of Walnut Shade Road, west of South Dubon Highway, east of Woodside, inside the growth zone. The Regional Planning Commission did vote unanimously to recommend approval of the rezoning, citing that there are indeed commercial parcels in proximity to the site. The infrastructure is available to serve development of the site, and the commercial zoning is, in short, compatible with the surrounding area. So again, this comes with a recommendation for approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Does anyone have any questions? Commissioner Hertz?
Yeah, I'm confused. If you look at the RPC recommendation, they unanimously approved, and Exhibit A, they use the example of staff recommendation. Now you go down to staff recommendation and you denied it. And then the following sentence, you say it meets the requirements. So what's the denial for?
Well, the staff's recommendation was to denial. The Planning Commission took the information in that staff report and didn't reach the same conclusion after the public hearing. It's that simple.
Yeah, but my question is, after you say staff denies it, then the following sentence is the proposed zoning meets all the conditions. That has to come from, it's under staff recommendations, so that came from you also, correct? So it's like you deny it in this sentence and you improve it in this. So I'm just asking for clarity.
Staff recommended denial based on the comprehensive plan. The Regional Planning Commission came to a different conclusion.
So let me ask you this. And I heard from my RPC that you were against it, and after their first meeting, staff changed their mind, and I was told by my RPC that you changed your mind and thought this was a good idea to go through. Obviously, by that last sentence, it meets the zoning requirements. So I guess my question is, do we have the ability, because I've seen these denials, and it's almost like you just glaze over it because you see it all the time from my perspective. Is there a way to put that no opinion? You're not for it, you're not against it. Do you have that ability?
We've certainly done it in the past, but in this case, we made a recommendation, and I would not characterize it as the staff rescinding that recommendation. But I would certainly say, pardon me, that it is not difficult to reach either conclusion in my estimation. I think this is a case where it's not unreasonable to say it doesn't match the map for the comprehensive plan, but I think it's also very reasonable to say it meets the purpose and intent of the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, I'm just saying this is the first time that I've had this discussion with my RPC where they said planning flipped.
No, we did not.
Okay, but again,
That's not a thing that can happen. We make the recommendation, it goes to hearing. Our recommendation's part of the record.
Okay.
So we don't change it.
But if you're going to sit there with that final sentence, isn't there a way that we can somehow go neutral? Say, not have no opinion? Because to some people, this seeing that denial means something. It matters to them.
Except we've made the recommendation and it's part of the record. It's entered into the record as part of the Planning Commission hearing.
Okay.
Any other questions for Ms. Kiefer?
I do.
Commissioner Sweeney?
Just real quick, Ms. Kiefer, just process. If there was a denial, that recommendation for denial goes to the RPC. If after the RPC public hearing, something is presented that changes the planning department's opinion of that to an approval, would then you make sure that our packets had that it was approved? Or is
I would say it's not our role any longer. Our role is before the public hearing. We give the best analysis we can based on the information we have in front of us. But that's why you have a planning commission.
Right.
Right? And so that's why the planning commission recommendation is what I report to you. I can't get rid of the staff's recommendation. It exists in the legal record. But what's in front of you right now is a positive recommendation from the planning commission.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? This time we'll open it up for a public hearing. Anyone for the LC 25-15?
And if whoever's going to the podium, please state your name and address for the record, and then we will swear you in.
Good evening. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is John Nichols, Jr., 624 Bison Road, Dover, Delaware, 19904.
Either place your right hand on the Bible or raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you'll provide for these proceedings is the truth?
I do. Good evening, Commissioners. I appreciate your time this evening and would like to reiterate and run over a letter that was in the packet that I got, so I assume that you have it. In reference to my rezoning application, CZ 25-03. Respectfully, the staff recommendation report is inconsistent and wrong in many respects. First, the character of the neighborhood has changed to such an extent that the zoning map should be changed. As the staff report recognizes, there have been 4 rezoning applications within the immediate vicinity of the subject property over the past 40 years, all of which, like my application, requested a rezoning from AR to BG. Moreover, there is an industrial zoned property located immediately to the north of this subject property. Second, the requested zoning classification is consistent with the comprehensive plan. As the Office of the State Planning Coordination notes, the subject property is located in investment levels 2 and 3, according to the 2020 strategies for state policies and spending, and is inside the growth overlay zone for Kent County. This is an area where growth is anticipated in the near-term future. As the staff report notes, the subject property is located within the Woodside Village area where neighborhood commercial uses like my landscaping business are encouraged. Third, transportation facilities, water, sewer, storm drainage systems, and fire suppression facilities are adequate to to serve the proposed use are either in existence or readily available. The subject property is located on Walnut Shade Road in very close proximity to the intersection of US Route 13, one of the major arterial roadways in Kent County, as we all know. Public sewer is neither necessary nor required for my intended use of the property as a landscaping business. Water and fire suppression facilities are already in place. Critically, none of the agencies governing infrastructure requirements, the county's Department of Public Works, Kent Conservation District, DelDOT, or the Dover-Kent County MPO have any objection to this requested rezoning. Fourth, there is a compatibility between the proposed use of the subject property and surrounding uses. As previously noted, there are a significant number of commercial uses surrounding the subject property, and the proposed use as a landscaping business will in no way compromise the health, safety, or welfare of area residents. Indeed, I have all the support of my neighbors. I also submitted, which was in the packet, and I assume and hope that you have that, 2 letters from neighbors that have been there for the 20 years that I've been there. Those letters, both those neighbors have been there the entire time. And lastly, Commissioner Hertz, I just want to reiterate, it's very confusing as a constituent and a small business owner in this county to read the staff recommendation that says, based on the information presented, that their denial, and then we go into the following, that the proposed rezoning meets the conditions for approval of a zoning change under the Kent County Code. I also believe that if in my world, if the staff's going to make a recommendation, they should have to give a reason why. So at this time, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Does anyone have any questions? Thank you, Mr. Nichols.
Thank you.
Anyone else in favor of this project? Mark, anyone online?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor of LC 2515, please indicate by raising your electronic hand or pressing *3 if you're joining us by phone. I see no hands raised online, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone opposed to LC 2515? Mark, anyone online?
Similarly, if you're online and would like to speak in opposition to LC 2515, please indicate by raising your electronic hand. Still no hands raised online, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mark. This time we're going to close the public hearing. Commissioner Sweeney?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Move to approve ordinance LC 25-15 based on the recommended approval from the Regional Planning Committee. We had numerous public support comments that were provided in our packet. There was no public opposition. It already meets the character of the area, and my motion is to approve.
Second motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any question on the motion? Ms. Tanaka?
Mr. Angel?
Yes, reason stated by Commissioner Sweeney.
Mr. Hall?
Yes, per RPC recommendations.
Mr. Hertz?
Yeah. Yes, based on RPC recommendations.
Mrs. Maston, absent. Mr. Pepper?
Yes, based on what's already been stated in favor. Also, if you just look at the map, that area is changing. It has businesses right next door and around it, so it'd be a natural to do the change. Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, per the reasons in my motion. Also, Mr. Nichols in the public support in our packet was detailed as a good neighbor, and I suspect that that'll continue.
Mr. Scott?
Yes, based on RPC's recommendation and the growing necessity.
Mr. Vice President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you, Ms. Tanaka. Commissioner Hertz, ordinance LC 2519.
Yes, I'll turn it over to Sarah.
Thank you, Commissioners. Ordinance LC 2519 is another application to amend the zoning map and comprehensive plan map. The site currently just under 2 acres on the east side of Iron Mine Road, north of Sandtown Road, west of Felton, is outside the growth zone. It's currently zoned BG, general business, and the proposal is to rezone to AR, agricultural residential. If you look at the map, it looks like it was a spot zoning from long ago, and the applicant would like to return it to a residential zoning district. The Regional Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval, citing the surrounding area is residential and agricultural in nature. The AR zoning is certainly in keeping with the surrounding area, and facilities are certainly adequate to serve the ongoing residential use of the property. So again, this comes with a recommendation for approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Kiefer. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Kiefer? If not, we'll open up the public hearing. Anyone in favor of ordinance LC 2519, please come forward. Ma'am, if you can give your name and address to the county attorney, please.
Good evening. My name is Audrey Ellen Wagaman, and my address is 35727 Tarpon Drive, Lewis, Delaware. I'm president and realtor.
One moment, ma'am.
Oh, I'm
If I could
sorry.
just swear you in first. Thank you. Could you please place your right hand on a Bible or raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are providing tonight is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Ma'am, could you please spell your name for me, please?
Sure. AudreyWagamon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wagaman. Go ahead.
I'm representing the Lewises who live out of state at this point. We're just returning it to what the actual original zoning was, and it should contribute to the quiet enjoyment of the neighborhood, knowing that any subsequent owners will also be zoned the exact same as the neighbors. I had the pleasure of hearing directly from one of the neighbors, and once I explained that it's going to be zoned just like them and they're not going to have any worry about any more businesses in the area, they were well pleased. So I appreciate your consideration and following the recommendation of, thank goodness, everybody in planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wagaman. Anyone else in favor of LC 2519? Mark online, sir.
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor of LC 2519, please indicate by raising an electronic hand or pressing *3 if you're joining us by phone. See no hands raised online, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone opposed to LC 2519, please come forward.
Similarly, if you're online and would like to speak in opposition to LC 2519, please indicate by raising your electronic hand. Still no hands raised online at this time, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mark. This time we're going to close public hearing. Commissioner Hartz.
Okay, I move that Levy Court approve ordinance LC 25-19, amending the zoning map from BG, general business, to AR, agricultural residential, located outside the growth zone overlay district. This is based on Exhibit A, RPC recommendation report dated September 23rd, 2025, and Exhibit B, public hearing testimony dated September 4th, 2025, and public hearing testimony given tonight.
Second motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any question on the motion? Ms. Tanaka?
Mr. Angel?
Yes, reason stated by Commissioner Hertz.
Mr. Hall?
Yes, per RPC recommendations.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes, for the reasons I stated.
Mrs. Maston absent. Mr. Pepper?
Yes, based on all reasons stated, and rarely do we see zoning go in that direction. It usually goes the other direction, more intense. So I understand why they're doing it, and so my vote's yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, for reasons stated. Mrs. Wagman, you're a good friend to come all the way up from Lewis to speak in favor of the Lewises.
Mr. Scott?
Yes, for reasons stated.
Mr. Vice President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you, Ms. Tanaka. Next one, petition for conditional use approval. Commissioner Hertz.
I'll turn it over to Sarah.
Thank you, Commissioner. Application C-2501 is a conditional use application for a community solar facility. The project area is just a hair over 15 acres on the south side of Hartley Road, east of Judith Road, east of Hartley, outside the growth zone, certainly. The Regional Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend conditional approval. The plan indeed complies with all of the conditions of 20573. The applicant also agreed to perimeter fencing recommended by the Planning Commission and specific ground covers recommended by the Planning Commission. So again, this comes with a recommendation for approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Kiefer. Any questions for Ms. Kiefer? If not, we'll open this to public hearing. Anyone in favor of LC 2501, come forward. Please give your name and address to the attorney.
Good evening. My name is Greg Moore. I represent Becker Morgan Group, and we did the plans, and I have a quick presentation to show you that outlines our project.
Sir, could you please raise your right hand or place your right hand on the Bible? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to be providing tonight is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
And, okay. Thank you very much. So in yellow, you can see we have about 15 acres of area that will become a community solar, and the community solar is going to actually be offered to the local community around, and they will get reduced rates on the renewable energy. And the remaining portion of the farm, which is about 120 acres, will remain in till, and the current farmer will continue to till that area. This shows you the 15 acres that the solar array actually covers. There's a natural buffer of trees and wetlands behind it. That will be the buffer we are, and I'll show you a little bit of the buffering to screen the neighbors that are to the front. It does meet the conditional use standards. It's in a good location. It is zoned properly. There's not a high impact of traffic, parking, runoff. Solar does not do that, so it is a good conditional use standard meeting. And as we go on, it also meets your new solar code in terms of buffering, landscaping, in terms of the buffers that we're going to show you more detailed. We will be doing soil studies both before we do construction and then throughout the life of the system, so that we'll make sure there's no contamination. We've already submitted a decommissioning plan, which is basically removing the solar when they expire, and we're prepared to do the bonding required in the code. Again, you can see the buffer. The yellow points out the 25-foot double screening of trees that will be just like that little exhibit per code, and that will yield in 5 years a complete screen of the solar array from the neighbors, and that will be surrounding the entire area, so it won't be visible anywhere. And in the back, it will actually have natural trees. So in summary, unlike some of the other cases tonight, this was actually unanimously recommended by the Regional Planning Commission. It was also recommended by staff. Staff made some additional recommendations to us as the engineer, and we can agree along with the client with all of those recommendations, so there's no controversy here. We've done a glare study, and it complies, and complies with all the conditions of your new ordinance, so pretty clean application. And this is the staff recommendation recommending approval of this community solar. And with that, I'll turn it over for any questions you might have.
Thank you, sir. Anyone have any questions? I have one question, just confirming it's a 15 acres of solar.
15 acres of solar.
119 acres that's there, correct?
Correct. And then there's about 68 acres of existing farmland. The existing farmer will continue to farm the remaining 53. So he will not be disturbed, and this 15 acres will be leased by my client to create the solar project.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak in favor of? Anyone opposed? Please come forward.
Sir, could you please raise your right hand and state your name and address for the record?
My name is Bradley Gosh. I am Fire Chief of the Hartley Volunteer Fire Company, and my address is 3568 Arthur'sville Road.
Do you solemnly affirm today that the testimony in these proceedings you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
That's correct. Thank you. I apologize. I'm not against this solar operation. The only question I do have for the county is there a predetermined prerequisite on the width of the entrance and how it is to be maintained to get to the solar panels? Because we already have one solar panel farm on Lockwood's Chapel Road that we can only run a brush truck to because of the terrain to get back to it. You could not get any type of fire apparatus anywhere near it. And what will be the contact information in case any of this, because fire departments aren't really equipped. Our SOP at this time with the one on Lockwood's Chapel Road is we use dry chem as much as we can. If it's affecting anything else, we put it out. It's just the entrance to get to it is horrible. And I was just wondering, since he's here now, if I could ask the question of what the entrance would be and the actual width.
Sure.
We will have an entrance off the highway. We will have to go through the State Highway Administration to get that entrance. It will meet those criteria. And this will also go through the fire marshal in terms of access and road width. And we are providing a surfaced road that goes back into the facility so you could get access inside if you needed to.
I'm not opposed to it, trust me. I think they're great ideas. But I would announce to the county, maybe you should send someone out to look at the one off of Lockwood's Chapel Road. And if you have a car, don't try and drive back there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gosh. Anyone else opposed? Mark?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor or in opposition to this application, please indicate by raising your electronic hand or pressing *3 if you're joining us by phone. I see no hands raised online, Mr. Vice President.
Did you want to speak, sir? Give your name and address to the attorney, please.
Yep. Paul Reduca, Amoresco, 636 Wood Street, Bristol, Rhode Island.
Please raise your hand, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Raise your hand on the Bible. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you provide tonight is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
One thing I was going to add for your question, I was going to do it after, but I'm also do it in public here, is that we also can provide the fire department with training at the facility. In a lot of cases at the other places that we've installed solar, we've actually, when we've opened up training, we've invited other towns and counties, areas to kind of have additional training while we're at it if we have people. So we'll definitely reach out to you guys and work with actually doing training. We usually wait till the array is somewhat mechanically complete, so we actually have something to show you and work on it. And so we will reach out and do some training with your department and any other departments that need in the surrounding area for free. Lunch is included.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the offer as well. I think it's, you just kind of got our attention for future requirements. If we don't have anyone else opposing LC 2501, we'll close public hearing. Commissioner Hertz.
I move that Levy Court grant conditional approval of application C 25-01, a community energy generating facility located outside the growth zone overlay district. This is based on Exhibit A, RPC recommendation report dated September 23rd, 2025, and Exhibit B, public hearing testimony dated September 4th, 2025, and public hearing testimony given tonight.
Second motion.
A motion and a second. Any question on the motion? Ms. Tanaka?
Mr. Angel?
Yes, based on staff approval, RPC unanimous vote, it meets the sections for community solar on sections 205-53 and 205-73. Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes, based on staff and RPC recommendations.
Mr. Hertz,
Yes, based on staff and RPC recommendations.
Mrs. Maston, absent. Mr. Pepper,
Yes, based on staff recommendation, and it's not a large facility.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes, based on all previous comments. Also, the fact that this solar will directly benefit the community that it is impacting, and it will help go toward starting to lower some of our electric bills.
Mr. Scott,
Yes, based on staff and RPC's recommendations.
Mr. Vice President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you, Ms. Tanaka. We're going to continue our, looks like our final public hearing. Commissioner Pepper?
Yes, I have Resolution 4128, a resolution to extend the Kent County Stormwater Maintenance District pursuant to Chapter 52, Title 9 of the Delaware Code and Section 90.4E10, Chapter 187 of the Kent County Code, also known as Otter Run. And Ms. Kiefer's here to help us out.
Thank you, Commissioner. The Otter Run subdivision is prepared to join the county's stormwater maintenance district. A majority of the lot owners have signed the petition in the affirmative. All of those signatures have been checked by the staff. The Conservation District has created their operation and maintenance plan. It should be noted that given the time of year they're joining the district, billing will actually commence for the August 26th tax bill for half a year. Given that it meets all the criteria for joining the district, staff recommends approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Kiefer. Commissioner Sweeney?
Thank you. Ms. Kiefer, what's this bring us up to in subdivisions with stormwater contracts?
We've got to be close to 45 by now.
Nice. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? This time we'll open up for public hearing. Anybody in favor of Resolution 4128, please come forward. Mark online.
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor of Resolution 4128, please indicate by raising electronic hands or pressing *3 if you're joining us by phone. I see no hands raised online, Mr. Vice
Thank
President.
you, sir. Thank you, Mark. Sir, if you can state your name and address for the attorney, please.
Yes, good evening. My name is Michael Williamson, 618 Otter Way.
Sir, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm today that the testimony you provide in these proceedings is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank you for the opportunity and continue on with the recommendation for your approval for the entrance into the stormwater management program. Myself and President of HOA here this evening to ensure that we are granted that access. We've done a lot of work both in the community and in our area to ensure we're able to join this this program. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Williamson, how many stormwater ponds are there?
There's only
in
one.
Otter Run? Just one?
Just one stormwater pond and then 2 swales.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in favor of? Anyone opposed, please come forward.
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in opposition to 4128, please indicate by raising your electronic hand. Still no hands raised online, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we're going to close public hearing.
Thank you. Finding that the proposed stormwater maintenance district expansion is adequate and appropriate, that all of the property owners within the district are benefiting directly or indirectly thereby, and that it is in the public interest to extend the stormwater maintenance district in the manner proposed, I move to approve Resolution 4128, creating the Otter Run Stormwater Maintenance District.
A second.
You had a motion and a second. Any question on the motion? Ms. Tanaka?
Mr. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston, absent. Mr. Pepper,
Yes, and this will benefit the homeowners greatly. and save them a lot of money in the long run. It's a good program, and I'm happy to see that Outer Run came in to join. Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yeah, yes, and I agree with Commissioner Pepper. This program is one of the better things that we've done over the last 24 years, and really benefits the subdivisions that get admitted into the program. Yes.
Could I just ask the first two commissioners who voted, just state the reasons for the record, just to be safe?
Mr. Angel?
Staff approval.
Thank you.
Mr. Hall?
Staff approval.
Go back to Mr. Scott.
Yes, staff approval.
Yeah.
Mr. Vice President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you, Ms. Tanaka. This time we're going to close public hearings. Doesn't appear that we have any old business this evening, so we'll go into new business. Commissioner Pepper?
Yes, we have application CS-08-12 is Tidewater Utilities Incorporated on Carpenter's Bridge Crossing. Request for reconsideration of conditions. And I see Ms. Kiefer's already at the podium to give us a hand.
Thank you, Commissioner. Indeed, the previously approved application CS-08-12 for a water facility, water tower, the levy court, when you originally approved it, included a condition that all of the existing woodlands adjacent to the tower would be maintained, other than what was absolutely necessary to remove. As Tidewater has gotten ready to build the facility, it's become pretty apparent they're not going to be able to maintain all of the trees. It should be noted that the buffer around the site is going to be maintained, so there will still be a buffer around the homes. Staff is recommending approval of effectively removing the condition from that approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Does anyone have any questions? Commissioner Sweeney?
So, Ms. Kiefer, is this one of the houses or a tower?
It's a tower. They've
Tower.
got a treatment facility as well.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Commissioner Pepper?
Thank you. If there are any further questions, I move that the levy court approve the request to revise the conditions of approval for CS-08-12, Tidewater Utilities Incorporated, Carpenter Bridge Crossing, to remove the following condition. All existing woodlands adjacent to the tower shall be maintained other than what is absolutely necessary to construct the water tower as shown on the proposed plans. Further, this motion is based upon the findings that the proposed gravel work area is needed for the installation and future maintenance of the water tower. The existing, number 2, the existing woodlands and the proposed plantings will provide adequate visual screening for the adjacent properties.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any question on the motion? Ms. Tanaka?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes, based on staff recommendations.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes, based on staff recommendations.
Mrs. Maston, absent. Mr. Pepper?
Yes, based on staff recommendations.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, based on staff recommendations and all previous comments.
Mr. Scott?
Yes, based on staff recommendation.
Mr. Vice President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you, Ms. Tanaka. Commissioner Pepper?
Yes, I do have an introduction for this evening. Introduction of Resolution 4130, a resolution establishing Beaver Pond Estates Garbage Collection District Number 198. This will be for public hearing on Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 at 7 p.m.
Commissioner Pepper?
Yes, the next item I have, item number 3, is Resolution 4134, a resolution calling a public hearing upon a proposal to extend Kent County Sewage Disposal District Number 1, Spring Creek area, Barrett's Landing.
At this time, we'll open it up for public hearing. Anyone in favor of, please come forward.
I don't believe there's any public hearing on the agenda. The agenda items public hearing was in the very beginning of the meeting, if you recall. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Pepper?
This is resolution, so that is my motion to request the King County Sewage District Disposal District Number 1, Spring Creek area, Barrett's Landing, requesting a hearing for that. And Ms. Kiefer, do you have a date for that?
So it's just a request for a hearing.
Yeah, request for a hearing to be set at a later date.
County Attorney?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
This is just going to go under a request for hearing, correct?
That's what the agenda says. It's an introduction for, we're on number 2, right?
3.
3, I'm sorry. Oh, I see. Yeah, so you will need to approve the resolution calling for a public hearing.
That was my motion.
Need a second.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. Any question on the motion? Ms. Tanaka?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston, absent. Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Vice President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you, Ms. Tanaka. Commissioner Pepper?
Yes, item number 4 is another introduction of resolution 4135, a resolution upon a proposal to extend Kent County Sewage Disposal District Number 1 pursuant to Section 4606, Chapter 46, Title 9 of the Delaware Code as amended, Spring Creek area, Barrett's Landing, for public hearing on Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Commissioner Pepper. Commissioner Sweeney?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Introduction of Resolution 29, a resolution establishing Woodfield Phase 4 Garbage Collection District Number 171 for public hearing on October 14th, 2025 at 7 p.m. And introduction of Resolution 4130, a resolution establishing Windswept Garbage Collection District Number 13 for public hearing on Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Commissioner Sweeney. Commissioner Hertz?
Resolution 4132, a resolution calling for a public hearing upon a proposal to extend Kent County Sewage Disposal District Number 1, various areas.
Second.
Continued on with introductions. Commissioner Hall?
No, you got to vote on this one. It was proposed by me and seconded by Hall.
Got a motion and a second. Any question on the motion? Ms. Tanaka?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston, absent. Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Vice President, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Commissioner Hertz?
All right, I have an introduction of Resolution 4133, a resolution upon a proposal to extend Kent County Sewage District Number 1 pursuant to Section 4606, Chapter 46, Title 9 of the Delaware Code as amended, various areas for public hearing Tuesday, October 14th, 2025, 7 p.m.
Thank you, Commissioner Hertz. Commissioner Hall?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Introduction of Ordinance LC 25-22, an ordinance to amend the comprehensive plan map designation and the official zoning map of Kent County, Delaware, pursuant to the provisions of Kent County Code, Volume 2, Chapter 205, Zoning, Article 3, Section 205-8 and Section 205-9, and Article 28, Changes and Amendments, effective December 1, 2000, as amended, reference application CZ 25-05, Michael L. and Allison B. Richards, trustee, for public hearing on Tuesday, October 28th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Introduction of LC 25-20, 2018 Property Maintenance Code, an ordinance to amend Kent County Code, Volume 2, Chapter 175, Property Maintenance, to clarify enforcement and ticketing procedures and reconcile conflicts with Chapter 90, Violations and Penalties, for public hearing on Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Introduction of LC 25-21, Chapter 90, Violation and Penalties, an ordinance to amend Kent County Code, Volume 1, Chapter 90, Violations and Penalties, to clarify enforcement and ticketing procedures and reconcile conflicts with Chapter 175, Property Maintenance Code, for a public hearing on Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Introduction of LC 25-23, Drainage Standards, an ordinance to amend Kent County Code, Volume 2, 116 Drainage Standards, to require lines and grades plans for developments on lots smaller than 1/2 acre, establish standards for positive draining from structures, and establish minimum standards for basement construction, for public hearing on Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall. You had a lot there. Commissioner Angel.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Introduction of ordinance LC 2517, an ordinance to amend Chapter 83 of the Kent County Code relating to county employee retirement program to increase the vesting requirement, for public hearing on Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 at 7 p.m. sharp.
Thank you, Commissioner Angel. Commissioner Pepper.
I'll ask the attorney, do we have need this evening for a executive session?
Not that I'm aware of.
County And then I don't have anything.
Thank you, Commissioner Pepper. This time we're going to information items. Does anyone have any information items? Okay. At this time, we'll go into public comments. We're aware that some of you may be here to give public comment relating to Commissioner Sweeney, and that you've brought some concerns to us. We received a complaint last night that we're taking it very serious. I don't want anybody to think that we're not. We are looking into it. We're not prepared to have any kind of response this evening. We want to note the statements by an individual commissioner in his personal capacity do not reflect the views of the commissioners of Kent County Levy Court as a whole. One of the other things that I wanted to stress this evening is we will be at a point of order. We'll be taking public comments one at a time, 3-minute time limit for each person to speak. I'd like to avoid repetitive commentary, so if someone says something that you're already wanting to say, if you can maybe kind of let them say it or share it up or something, or even if you have a spokesperson that you would like to speak for a group of you, I'm fine with that as well. The thing I ask you to do is please remain respectful. Remember that we're all adults, and at this time we'll open up for public comments. Miss Brenda has the 3-minute clock. Come forward. County Administrator, does she need to give name?
Aurora Gibbs. Aurora Gibbs.
Just put your address into the record as well, thank you.
3431 South DuPont Boulevard, Smyrna, Delaware, 19977.
You don't need to be sworn in, you can go ahead.
Okay, this is about CZ 2409. The Ellery Farm's been up for sale for close to 40 years. That's a long time, although it really depends on your definition of sale or selling with regards to real property. To begin with, it's very necessary to have a clean deed to transfer with a sales agreement between consenting parties. Also, I would imagine it is very important for a state to have a clean deed to initial imminent domain taking for a federally funded highway in that state. For instance, to know the exact acreage of property under a federally funded highway, and also the exact acreage of property under the right-of-way on either side of the route, clearly defined in a deed to the state and clearly defined on a map with no denial of access to someone's legally deeded property. I would imagine that would be important. As it stands now, there is about 7± acres of the Ellery Farm under Route 1 and under the right-of-way next to the route possibly, which leaves about 6± acres of the Ellery Farm that has not had any property tax paid on it for about 34 years. Also, specifically under Delaware law, the survey grid or magnetic needs to be stated. So a clean deed to the state of Delaware has yet to be completed. Any deed has yet to be completed. And the type of survey done was never specified with this initial eminent domain of the Ellery Farm for Route 1. My mother's been referred to as the primary owner of the Ellery Farm for many years now. Whether the sole owner of a small piece of property on Big Woods Road that used to be Lawrence C. Ellery, her father's, or the primary owner of the Ellery Farm, it means she would be the responsible party for taxes, debts, and transferring these properties or not. And the 2025-2026 property taxes for 81.9 acres of the Ellery Farm were paid by her. Her consent is necessary. Consent is voluntary, clear, affirmative, informed, and ongoing agreement. Consent must be freely given without coercion, pressure, threats, or manipulation. No one is ever obligated to give consent. If you are unsure about consent, the activity should stop immediately. Now let me mention several statistics. The percentage of Americans who have lived on working farms and how much deed fraud is up in this decade. In 1800, 90% of Americans were living on farms. Nearly all Americans were farmers. 1850, 64%, still majority rural. 1900, 40%. 1960, 8.7%. 2000, 2%. 2020, 1.3% to 1.8% farming, rare, 1 in 50 kids on a farm. Now, the FBI has stated deed fraud is up 500% in the last several years in our country. Our family has an initial eminent domain taking of the Ellery Farm for Route 1, and the state of Delaware has no clean deed to Route 1. So it appears to be an 88± acre farm, possibly. Also, the pressure and the escalating threatening behavior.
Your 3 minutes are up, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Ellery Gibbs, 3431 South DuPont Highway, Boulevard, Smyrna, Delaware. There. Also, the pressure and the escalating threatening behavior over the years from former members of Young, Conaway, Stargett, and Taylor is concerning, including Louis Pritzker, Catherine McCormick, on the surviving primary owner, Patricia Ellery Gibbs. In the last 10 years, Morris and Ritchie and GTA have entered our property many times without permission. Morris Ritchie have not just surveyed our property 2 or 3 times, it's been done many, many times. You would think we were over a shifting tectonic plate. Mr. Pritzker has waited outside to the left of our farmhouse in front of the bushes and trees on Route 13 until I have left to run errands in the morning. Then Aurora has stayed behind to get an awful sound of loud banging on the front door repeatedly over a number of years. 13 surveyors from Morris Ritchie in January 2018 with a Delaware State Trooper in his official capacity to protect these 13 men loose around our house, supposedly surveying it. I was told they needed protection from, Aurora was told they needed protection from her, one individual. And I have never given any consent to any zoning or sale of the Ellery Farm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, commissioners, staff, ladies and gentlemen of the public. My name is Ellery Gibbs. My address of record is 2837 North Bonnie Bell Circle, Wasilla, Alaska. I'm here to speak, as my mother and sister were up here, about the Ellery Farm. This is the first time that I've been in front of either a commission or a board in front of the Kent County. So I flew down last night, this morning from Alaska with the understanding that our CZ 2409 and SL 2504 would be part of this agenda. It's not, as is obvious. I'm wondering, it's public commentary, I get a comment for 3 minutes, a question, is that supposed to come up, or is that business that's already been dealt with before I continue? Can you answer that question?
Is this a property up in Smyrna off 13?
Yes, sir. It's
And
the
then-
3431 South DuPont Parkway.
Yeah, it came before us, and we put it on hold because there was a dispute, and then we got a ruling from Chancery Court that it was settled and the sale could go through. It came back to us, and it's approved.
Okay, so
So it's been sold, and Chancery Court approved it. That's why we backed it up for 2 weeks to see if Chancery Court had done their thing. If there was a ruling from Chancery Court, we found out there was, and we approved it. So it's a done deal.
When was it approved, if I might ask? When did you approve it?
What we can do, Mr. Ellery, is we'd be glad to get with you either after the meeting, or I can get with County Administrator tomorrow so that we can give you accurate information. Us to sit here and guess at an exact date tonight really wouldn't be fair. So be glad to put you in touch with the County Administrator tomorrow morning, and we can get the exact dates that you're requiring. But Commissioner Hertz is right. It was a Chancery Court order. So unfortunately, they kind of had the heavy hand on things with it.
Gotcha. Now, I heard the bell go off. It sounds like my 3 minutes is up.
Yes.
May I say anything else since we had a back and forth, or is my time up?
Sorry, we have to be fair to everyone. So 3 minutes is all you can have for public comment
Okay,
at this time.
understood. Thank you.
Thank you. This time, we're accepting public comments.
Hi, my name is Kim Petters, and I live at 493 Sedgwick Drive, Magnolia, Delaware. Jody Sweeney, you're my commissioner. It's no secret in that today's political climate, there's a lot of violence and hatred. Commissioner Sweeney, recently, you have said that you should not be held to any kind of different standard, but that's not right. You're an elected official. I'd appreciate if you would please look at me. You're an
Ma'am,
elected
you're
official.
You're addressing Levy Court, not me directly.
All right, Levy Court,
Oh,
thank you.
excuse me. Let's look.
Understood. I didn't understand that. I get it.
We're going to keep it.
I would just like to say, I don't want to lose my time.
Okay.
I would just like to say, comments like this one on Facebook. Commissioner Hall, you reached out to me recently asking me to go to lunch. I'm actually afraid of you because I think you might end up like him. I actually went to I helped host a Charlie Kirk memorial on this past Friday, and I get attacked by radicals and in this state. I've actually had to meet with the ATF, the FBI, the state police. There have been arrests made. On that day, Ralph, I brought my son, and I said that he was there to help us. He was actually really there to help protect me because I had received threats just even prior to that day. He was there to stay there until my husband could get there and keep an eye on me, but I didn't want you and Amber to know because I don't want you to not like me and think that I'm a problem. Now, my safety, because of some elected officials in this room, has been put at risk. And I'd just like to say, when someone identifies as Antifa, this is what they're saying they're part of. And this, it's violent. And then there are other comments, telling constituents that they're pieces of you-know-what, telling people too bad you're gonna have to pay my taxes anyway, so I hope you're clenching your cheeks yet. This is not professional. And it's rhetoric like this, when I'm being named as an extremist, when it's being said that I align with white supremacy, I reject that. But unfortunately, when people who are elected make comments like this, it puts ordinary people like me in danger, because there are extremists out there who believe those words. I've had packages sent to my house. A woman has been arrested for the 3rd time she has court for harassing me. Why? Because I'm a conservative woman that believes in small government? That doesn't make me an extremist. Those words are dangerous. It puts targets on the backs of ordinary citizens. And who is the at-large? Is it Terry Pepper? If it weren't for you, I wouldn't even have representation, because I was told, due to not agreeing with me, he won't help me anymore. I can't imagine if a police officer, before they responded, wanted to know if they were Republican or Democrat first. You get my point.
Thank you, ma'am. Leave me for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Petters.
I'm gonna leave these here.
This time we'll call public comments.
My name is Kim Luton. My address is 5090 Kenton Road in Dover. Thank you for the time to speak, Mr. Vice President and Commissioners. I'm an individual that Mr. Sweeney tagged in one of his Meta Facebook public posts. I am not here to speak negatively about Mr. Sweeney. I am simply here to express my disappointment in the comments Mr. Sweeney made on social media. He had the opportunity to display decency at a time when political discourse is at an all-time low and emotions are at an all-time high. There was no need to make detrimental comments about his constituents or other Kent County residents. There is no evidence that any of the individuals tagged in Mr. Sweeney's post are right-wing conservatives or white nationalists, as he claimed. We must lower the rhetoric of stereotyping on all sides of the political spectrum, as unfortunately there are mentally unstable people within our community that might believe that Mr. Sweeney's words give them permission to act. I was absolutely shocked when the commissioner made a statement that aligns with the known domestic terrorist group Antifa. Again, disappointing words. An opportunity to rise above the division of politics, but now there is creation of a caustic environment that could end up with people getting hurt. We can do better, and we must do better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greetings, Commissioners. My name is Ralph Taylor. My address is 30 South Shore Drive in Dover. I have some comments as well about Mr. Sweeney. I have always given and received respect from Mr. Sweeney, until now. He said that he cannot remain silent and went on to write some things that were absolutely horrendous, especially during this political time. It was arrogant. But I didn't hear you say you wouldn't remain silent when it was time for COVID shots to be mandatory. I didn't hear you speaking out loud when men were being forced in women's spaces. I didn't hear you speaking out loud when Christians were forced to worship outside because we had to stay 6 feet away from one another unless we were at a casino or we were at an Antifa rally. I didn't hear any of those things, sir. And now, the soft on crime business, the soft on crime approach that you support, our businesses can't thrive downtown. Look at every municipality, all of them are struggling. I really wish you would do better, sir. And then you said you identify with Antifa. But earlier you talked about the fallen officers and you talked about how supportive you were. You can't have it both ways. You can't support the officers and then say you're Antifa when they're spitting in our faces. I am a retired officer. I was offended by that, Jody. I was offended. I'm still offended by it. I'm looking at this whole entire thing, Antifa. Antifa, the protesters, the Black Lives Matter. They came to Dover, got a police escort from Legislative Mall to the Blue Hen, or to the Dover Mall, and looted it. And that's what you support. That's what you support, sir. I'm going to close with this. Very hypocritical. Very hypocritical. And I don't believe, I just can't believe that you have a major, major problem with Charlie Kirk. What I believe for you, sir, is that you have a broken soul. I believe you need Jesus just like all the rest of us sinners. I wish that each and every one of you would censure him or take whatever other action that you have to do to make sure that this insanity never happens again. It is your responsibility to do something. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
My name's Jesse Flynn. My address is 10586 Waller Road, Laurel, Delaware. Mr. Sweeney, commissioners, ladies, thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Sweeney and I go back a few years online. We disagree politically, and a lot of times it was heated. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with disagreement as long as it's not demonizing somebody who is of the opposite party. When you call us radical Republicans, what are we supposed to say to that? What does that mean? Does it mean that we burn buildings down? Does it mean that we riot in the streets? What does it mean? And then when you go on to say that we choose guns over children, what does that mean? Explain to me why you would do that to your fellow American, to your fellow Delawarean. I'm not from this county. I'm from Sussex County. It doesn't matter. You went online, you spoke in a disparaging way about your fellow Delawarean. Shameful, shameful. Why we're here is because of your professionalism. You rode so close to the line, I think you went over it. And now you need to, I hope that your fellow commissioners will pull you aside and censure you from your speech. You have a right to your free speech. You constantly exercised it. I had no problem with that. But when you speak about it from the halls of this place right here, when you talk about your name being on the wall out there in the hallway of your 20 years of service, you are speaking for these other gentlemen and ladies. You've crossed the line professionally. I don't care if you disagree. I have no problem with it. But I'm going to speak my mind. And I won't have you calling me out on Facebook without some pushback. I am a Navy veteran. My wife is a Navy veteran. We don't deserve that. There's a POW flag flying outside of this building. And when you talk that way about the military and the U.S. Constitution, which I don't think you understand very well, I don't think you understand the Constitution of the United States of America.
Sir, with all due respect, I have to, so I can keep it consistent for everyone. Your 3 minutes is up.
Okay.
Ma'am?
Hi, good evening. My name is Amber Kennedy, 46 Amy Avenue, Magnolia.
What's your last name?
Oh, Kennedy, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. So I had absolutely no thought of getting up here this afternoon, and I listened, and I just wanted to let you know that you're letting us down, because the whole point is we trust the entire board to make decisions on what happens to our town, our city, and our homes, and we have a member who just let us down. So whether you guys say it's not part of you, it is. You let one member disgrace this entire room, this entire town, this entire village, this entire state. We look like fools because of this. And it hurts because you have young people that are now going to quit pursuing anything political, anything levy court, or anything like that because they're afraid of those comments and they're afraid of being called a white supremacist or whatever nasty comments are going to be made. You're killing young generations and you're making them take a back seat because of your stupid, and I will say stupid, rhetoric. We're not white supremacists. Hate is so far gone, and it needs to be stomped into the ground. And that kind of talk is nonsense on so many different levels. Hate does not belong on either side of the aisle, and it's not. It's brought about by those comments right there. And these young children, my son, are going to take back seats because they're too afraid now of being called racist. They're too afraid of being called white supremacist or whatever you want to call it. And you're never going to see them speak up because they'll lose their jobs, they'll lose their scholarships, they'll lose everything in their life. And that is shameful on you for the next generation. And you guys should all feel terrible about it. You have young men and women that are now going to sit there and turn off the comments that they want to say, not show up to these things, not show up to political either side of it. You can be Democrat, Republican, Independent, but you should feel safe to show up. And now you're going to have people not showing up to the things that you need votes for. Your votes go away because people stop caring and people are hiding because if they say, I voted this, you get slander like that. That's not fair. I should not feel like I'm in a third world country hiding my vote. Either side of the aisle. I don't care who you vote for. If you vote because you truly believe it, great. And that's what should matter, your heart. If you walk up there and you know right or left, you're voting because you want to vote, wonderful. I love it. I love competition either side. But when you sit there and go, I can't vote because I'm afraid, that's what America quit. And it doesn't even, I'm getting flustered. That's not what we stand for. And it doesn't make sense that we can have this conversation in this year, and this is happening across the state, across the country. It's unacceptable behavior. My son now has to question whether showing up tonight, whether showing up to somebody who truly he believed in that passed away, he's like, Mom, am I going to get shot? That's unacceptable behavior. We should not be afraid to voice our opinion right or left. It doesn't matter. I'm here because I truly believe in what I believe in. And you know what? It should be that way. If you want to stand here and oppose my values, fantastic. But have heart and do it respectfully. That's what we stand for.
Ma'am, thank you. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else for public comments?
How y'all doing tonight? My name is Seth Greenberg, 118 East 3rd Street, Wyoming, Delaware. 118.
No, your name?
Seth Greenberg.
Seth?
Yep, Greenberg.
Greenberg, okay.
Greenberg. And that's 118 East 3rd Street, Wyoming, Delaware.
Thank you.
Yep. So Jody is my commissioner. I know Jody. We've spoke on many occasions. I'm not very active on social medias, but I know Jody is. I am told about it quite often from many people. A big thing that he does is he really creates an undermining of public confidence. He, not only when he's speaking, speaks for himself, he speaks for all of you, whether you agree with it or not. And then when you go out in public and people don't think anything of you guys, there's no credibility to you, it's almost a joke. It's a joke to our county. And he can believe whatever he wants. No one's saying he shouldn't have the right to say what he thinks. I love Jody's comments. I find them quite hilarious. It is quite entertaining to see him. But I also love talking to him because he is someone good to talk to. The weird thing is he doesn't talk like that in person when you're face to face. It's only on the internet that I see him say these things or this rhetoric. You know, one of the weirdest things I saw most recently was what he was saying about David Anderson, a colored council member from the city of Dover. He said that he basically doesn't represent his own district of other colored people and that he's not, I don't know if it was smart enough, but he basically was undermining this council member. This is a white male undermining a black council member, saying he's not representing his colored constituents properly. That sounds kind of racist to me, Jody. I don't know if that's how you see it, but everyone else sees that as racism. And it just kind of throws me back as someone who's married to a woman of color. You know, these are kind of weird things that I have to watch, and I usually talk pretty good about you, but it's, you know, again, it's getting hard to stand behind you when these are your comments. And again, he's representing all of you. If you don't agree with this, and I'm not saying take his voice away, I'm not saying tell him to stop talking, but just know he's representing all of you. And the fact of the matter is, he's rubbing it in people's faces that he's going to get a pension in 3 years that he wants people to clench their butt cheeks about. He wants to rub their noses in the fact that he's going to be riding on the tax dollar expense for the rest of his and his wife's life. So this person who comes off as a racist, this person who undermines all of you, is also going to ride the gravy train for the rest of his life. That's a little uneasy for me as a tax-paying citizen of this county. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment this evening?
My name is Charles Dougherty, Dougherty. Live at 4 South Main Street in Magnolia, Delaware. I didn't come here to bash Mr. Sweeney. I came here to listen to the fire service commentary, and I apologize. I didn't realize I only had a few seconds to jump my hand up. The problem we have in the fire service today, in my opinion, as a treasurer of our fire department in Magnolia, is the 8 or 10 calls per week going to Mrs. Smith's house to pick her up. We waste fuel. We pay 2 EMTs to go to that house 8 or 10 times a week. We get $0 for it. The other side of that problem is the Medicaid and Medicare. We could spend $4,000 in excuse me, equipment, oxygen, all the other necessities it takes to get that person to or from the hospital. We bill for it, we get $82, or we get $87. I see it because I'm the money guy. When you see those big numbers, see $4 or $5 million, we buy 1 or 2 trucks, that money's gone. We can't afford to put a stamp on an envelope to send it out to our people who do door fund drives. When we order a truck, we just ordered an ambulance, $440,000. Takes almost 3 years to get it. By the time we get it, we have to buy another one. Fire trucks are the same way. You see up there were 1.2 million. About 2.5 years, you may see it in your station. Ladder truck, 2.5. You'll see it in 3 or 4 years. The problem is we need to do rescue billing. It needs to go into law. Some of the people who pay fire insurance, fire insurance, your car insurance, all those are in that bill. When you have it, you can't take it out. It's in there. But we don't have the right to bill a customer or a patient for going and cutting them out of their car, for using the stay dry, for our trainings, any of the stuff that we do to do those things. We have no right to bill those people, and we should. Every time we go for smells and bells, as we call it, there should be a bill. Whether it's $50, $80, $100, doesn't matter. That money can come back to us. We talked about the 25 cents added to our taxes. That sounds all well and fine, but we'll get 5 cents of that, and somebody else will get the other 20. That's the way it is at the end of the day. Somebody's always got their hand out like this. It's not coming to us, not as much as it should. We can't afford to pay all those people all that time. That's all I got to say.
Mr. Dougherty, I have a question for you.
Sure.
I appreciate you coming up and speaking about the fire service. I think that was a really, really important presentation that we had. Were you here for all of the recommendations?
I was.
What'd you think? Do you agree with those recommendations?
Some of it's eye-opening. Some of the numbers are a little funky in my mind from what I see on my end in my company. I thought it was a decent presentation overall, and I apologize for those of you who wanted to see me bash you, but that's not what I'm here. I'm here for other issue, and I waited my turn. So
just 2 quick questions. The 25 cents would be increase in rate And all of that money, from what I understand from HB 37 or whatever it was.
I can't keep up with the numbers either.
Yeah, I know. Would go directly to the company.
Yeah, that's to accommodate for that 13 or 11 million, I forget the number now, 11 or 13 million dollars, supposedly. But like I said, you can charge 50 cents, but my company is not going to get that. My company may get 5 cents out of that 50. Where's the other 45 cents go? It doesn't come to us. Right now, today, we have approximately 2,500 houses being built in my fire district.
I know.
That's not counting the 1,800 that already built. This is Magnolia. This is not Philadelphia. Camden is full. That's why they're coming south. They're coming east. They're going to keep coming and coming and coming and coming until they're building in the water.
Sir, I just want to remind this is public comment, and I know the commissioner asked you some questions, but everyone's limited to 3 minutes.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dougherty. This time, public comments.
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Desolate. I live at 506 Center Road in Magnolia. One of the main reasons.
Spell your last name, please?
Desolate. It's D as in David, E as in Sam, I-L-E-T.
Thank you.
You're welcome. One of the reasons that I wanted to come and just make a few comments to all of you this evening. I did not vote for Jody. My husband did. We are both Republicans. And I'm not ashamed to say that. My parents were both Democrats. I was born and raised in a Democratic home. That was, of course, 63 years ago when Democrats were actually for working people. So my parents did not know when I registered to vote that I actually registered as a Republican. Things changed, and I learned to be an independent person and make my own decisions. Unfortunately, some of the comments that I have had with Jody, I did not favor some of the things that he said to me. And I was really disappointed because fortunately, Jody represents this office. If Jody is on his own and on his own personal Facebook account, what he does and what he says, unfortunately, other people look at. When you are a representative of a government office, you represent the people, your constituents. You represent the people that you are working for. And unfortunately, when you don't take that into consideration when you are talking to your constituents, you represent and you say things that other people take to heart. You are here to make sure that your constituents are getting what they need, that they have the opportunity to come to you and talk to you about what's important to them, what's important to us living in this community. But when you say things that are not favorable to you, they make you look terrible in the eyes of your constituents. When I no longer feel that I'm comfortable coming and talking to you as a representative because of your ideals as a person, that doesn't say a whole lot about you as a commissioner. What you do and your personal opinions about who is in office is your business. They're not my business. But when you make it my business and I no longer feel comfortable coming and talking to you, that's offensive to me. Who I chose to vote for as a president, that's my personal opinion. I don't have to share that with you, and you don't have to share yours with me, but we should be able to talk to those things or talk about those things in a reasonable way so that even if we differ as constituents or people who have opinions, we should be able to talk about those things reasonably without getting angry with each other. All of us should be able to do that. Nobody in this country nobody should have to be opinionated enough where you have to get angry with someone because our opinions differ. That's what our country is all about. And we should be able to do that as a people. We should be able to come together and talk about things without getting angry and creating such hatred that somebody politically gets motivated enough to shoot someone in the head. That's not what we're supposed to be about as a people.
Thank you, ma'am. That's been 3 minutes. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Tom Horn, 118 North Rodney Street, Clayton, Delaware. What a meeting I picked to come down here with some of my newly found Facebook friends. 17 plus years and a couple years mayor of the town of Clayton, quite informative. I hope you're not counting this on my 3 minutes, but you probably are, to see the fire service study you're doing for the state. I was very active, obviously being the mayor and on council for many years in Clayton. Very good friends of Brooks Banna and Mayor Maston. But what I want to say is I came down here because I was disgusted if something's not done for an individual and what they say. We've seen enough of this stuff. And it breaks my heart, and I'm not a very religious person, but the rhetoric has got to stop. That's all I've got to say. Good night.
Thank you, Mayor. Anyone else for public comment? If not, we're going to move to how many are here due to the social media post? Answers that question. I do want to reiterate and read one more thing to you very fast, and we're going to go into commissioner comments. I just want to note again that statements that are made by an individual commissioner is his personal capacity do not reflect the views of
Commissioner Scott.
I didn't know if you wanted to take.
Yes,
potential.
Mark.
Okay.
Let me finish this and then you can take that. That we want to note the statements made by an individual commissioner in his personal capacity do not reflect the views of commissioners of Kent County Levy Court as a whole. I know some may find that somewhat difficult to understand, but even in a position up here, there's certain limitations to everything. Mark?
So for our guests who are joining us online, if you would like to make public comments at this time, please indicate by raising your electronic hand or pressing *3 if you're joining us by phone. I see no hands raised online, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mark. This time we'll go into commissioner comments. Commissioner Sweeney.
Thanks, sir. So this has been pretty interesting. It seems like the people who raised their hands have indicated that they have a monopoly on free speech. So I have a statement to read. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble, which you guys have done tonight, and I appreciate that, and to petition the government for redress of grievances. The United States Constitution's First Amendment protects 5 fundamental freedoms: religion, speech, press, assembly, and the right to petition the government. It prohibits Congress from making laws that establish a religion, restrict the free exercise of religion, infringe on free speech or the press, limit the right to peaceably assemble, to prevent people from petitioning the government from redress of grievances. These protections apply to state and local governments, ensuring individuals are free from government interference in these core areas. So, free speech covers all Americans. It does not exclude comedians, people of color, or politicians who protest through words or peaceful assembly. It does not even prevent a president from attacking a previous president after his diagnosis of cancer, calling for violence against a group of people, or making light of violence inflicted on opponents he hates. The loss of free speech is the first casualty of a dictatorship, and some people don't like my condemnation of the loss of a constitutional right. Some people also did not like my condemnation of a president's use of military honors for an ordinary citizen, including some on this dais. While it is the president's right to do that, it's also my First Amendment right to condemn it. I exercise my First Amendment right to free speech. Some people read my posts, which were factual, copied them to their own social media pages.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I could ask, sir, if I could ask for a little bit of respect. When people were up here speaking, we made sure that the respect was carried there as well, correct? I ask the same of you now. Thank you.
copied them to their own social media pages, and added disgusting attacks on my person, suggesting that because I was a politician, I had to be held to a higher standard. This included comments such as, I was a typical spoon-fed, half-story ignorant broad. I am not a broad. A clown, a liberal hack, equivalent to a damn cockroach, need to find Jesus, uses my authority against people, a drama queen, and that this person was slandered by an elected employee of the court system. So, then numerous followers of those other posts, which included previous candidates for office, as well as a sitting City of Dover elected official, and saying that my 15 minutes of time had to be ended. My response to that one person's attack, however unadvised, were still factual and taken out of context. About a dozen years ago, a constituent did not like a decision Levy Court made and threatened my family with violence. So, Ms. Petters, I'm sorry that you felt threatened by anybody. That's not right. I did not engage with you. I'm just talking. The Delaware State Police...
Guys,
Delaware State Police
please.
had to get involved, and I received an apology from that individual. But because of that, I've had to spend thousands in security and protection of my home. Threat and violence has not recurred until now, and violence is never the answer. To be clear, free speech does not extend to one group of people. Simple. If you don't like my social media post, scroll on. That's very simple. If you engage, prepare to be engaged back. When I comment on national politics, it is not as a Kent County official. It's just me as an American citizen. I apologize to the elected body and staff of Kent County for dragging them into this social media debate and debacle on national issues. But let me say this, and I quote from Charlie Kirk, no matter who was offended, I have the right to say outrageous things. For 17 years, I've represented the residents of the 5th District. That representation will continue without interruption, without regard to whether the person is a Republican, a Russian, or a turtle, and to the betterment of all for those who live in our county. Thank you for your attention in this matter. With that, Mr. President, I yield back.
Thank you. Any other commissioner have any comments? Mr. Administrator, do you have any comments, sir?
No, sir.
Thank you. This time we'll motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. Any questions on the motion? Enjoy. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attendance this evening. Everyone be safe.
9:57.